Hello and welcome to this second part of the bail hearing in the uh, Kouri Richins trial, the lady who allegedly gave her husband 5 times the legal amount not legal amount, I have to stop saying that, the lethal amount of fentanyl and killing him. Afterwards, she wrote a very successful children's book about missing the kids missing their dad. Um, so this yesterday was a very interesting stream, a stream that went all over the place. We discussed politics, close, a lot of things, but we got through the first witness, and let's see if we can do a bit better today. I just have to turn my phone off. Maybe someone will pop in along the way. I have invited a few people, so maybe someone will come and help me sidetrack this totally like we did yesterday, or we'll just go through it. There's about 2 hours left of the interrogations of the hearing. Sorry, so we'll see how far we'll get into it today. Maybe it will take far longer than it should, but we'll have fun. And good morning, Salvador. You just jump in when you're ready to do it. Hvis der skulle være nogle danskere, der kigger forbi på et tidspunkt, så er det anden dag i Kouri Richins-sagen. Det er den her høring, om hun kan få lov at komme ud på der, hvor de i USA kan betale sig for at ikke skulle sidde i fængsel, men at være hjemme og afvente retssagen. I går så hørte vi det første vidne. Det var den detektiv, der havde undersøgt den her sag. Han havde en masse interessant at sige, men jeg synes også, at forsvaret havde nogle rigtig gode punkter, der ligger op til. Man kan måske godt se, i hvad retning de forsøger at trække det, når man kommer i retten. Men Kouri her er jo tiltalt for at have givet sin mand den 5-dobbelte dosis af dødelig mængde fentanyl, i måske et forsøg på enten noget med penge, eller fordi de lå i en skilsmisse. Der er forskellige historier på nettet, men vi bliver jo nok klogere i løbet af i dag. Der er små 2 timer tilbage af den her høring her. Vi ser, hvor meget vi når. Det er frygtelig varmt her, hvor jeg sidder, så jeg håber da, at jeg kan holde til det, men ellers så stopper vi på et eller andet tidspunkt, som vi plejer, og så kan vi altid hoppe tilbage ind og se det på et andet tidspunkt. Men vi kan jo prøve at starte ud, og så ser vi, hvor langt vi kommer sådan i løbet af dagen.
Sir, could you please tell us your name and spell your last name?
Sure, it's Chris Kotrodimus. Last name is Kotrodimus.
Thank you. Mr. Kotrodimus, how are you employed at this point in time?
I own a private investigation firm.
What's that called?
M20 Solutions.
How long have you been the owner of that firm?
About 7 months.
What did you do prior to owning that business?
Salvador, that's Danish, the root of all you English-speaking people, because our Viking forefathers went to England and shared our culture, as Nick says. So a lot of the words you are using, you borrowed from us. So it was the good old times when Denmark was a very big country and everybody feared us.
I was a police officer for over 23 years.
And where did you work as a police officer?
I started my career in Raleigh, North Carolina. I moved to Utah and took a position with Salt Lake City Police Department, where I worked on the homicide unit there. In 2017, I took a position with the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office on the homicide team there, and until my retirement in December of 2022.
Do you have any specialized education, training, or experience with forensic digital evidence?
I do, yes.
Could you briefly explain what that is?
Sure. So I've attended several formal courses, one being a Cellbrite Certified Operator course, a Cellbrite Certified Physical Analyzer course. I've also attended a 40-hour cell phone analysis and mapping course through ZX. After using those skills for several years, I also attended a ZX 40-hour subject matter expert course on the same subject, cell phone, social media mapping, those types of things. My experience related to my testimony on those courses is I've worked either directly or indirectly on more than 200 homicides and major crimes. I've inspected and evaluated thousands of phone and social media records and phone downloads.
Thank you. What is your role in the case that brings you to court today?
I was retained by the Summit County Attorney's Office to evaluate digital evidence in this case.
And what evidence have you reviewed?
I reviewed several cell phone downloads or extractions. I've reviewed and analyzed call detail records and some social media records, things like that.
Can you tell us what the difference between carrier records and call data records are?
Yeah, so a call data record or a cell download.
And this is, as always, just an expert laying the foundation that he is an expert. So it's just technical babble that doesn't really matter to the case.
It does so into a reader, which you're able to analyze the data that's
It's just something you have to do to prove that you know what you're talking about. And this guy is using the Cellbrite. I've seen that used a lot in court. It's when they download the phones or any electronics devices, so you can see the geolocations and stuff like that, or who sent a message and from whom you received the message.
Can there be discrepancies between carrier records and the data that's extracted from a device?
Yes.
What would cause that?
Usually, sometimes it's because it just wasn't captured in the phone download due to a software limitation. But
maybe he just has good genetics, but
information on the device.
He looks a fair bit younger than Judge Schroeder. So maybe we're not going down the rabbit hole every time he has to say something.
Forensic extractions of an iPhone belonging to the defendant that was seized April 13th of 2022.
I did.
Does it contain digital information pertaining to the night of March 3rd and into the morning of March 4th, 2022?
It does.
What does that phone show? Well, let me ask it this way. What is the last time that phone is used on March 3rd of 2022?
The last activity reported on the defendant's phone is an activity device movement at 22:33 hours or 10:33 p.m. on March 3rd.
When was the next time that phone?
And everybody who watched the Murdoch case knows that a device movement can be anything, and you test it by sitting alone in an office and throwing an iPhone around in the office. You don't have to have any special knowledge or any way to blind test your results. You just sit around in the office and throw a phone. That's enough to get a man convicted.
Was used.
The phone was inactive and then ultimately unlocked at 3:07 a.m. on March 4th, 2022.
I'm not sure he's that old.
Between those two timeframes.
On that device?
On that device?
No.
Does the extraction of that phone indicate if it was moved in that time frame?
It does.
And how are you able to tell that?
Through the download. In this case, we use Cellbrite for the download. In the download, it gives an activity, like a connected device activity movement. Usually that's an indicator of another connected device, such as a tablet or a smartwatch or something of that nature. Those two devices will communicate with each other and report potential movement of the phone through that application.
Was there anything significant that occurred at 3:22 hours on March 4th?
At 3:22, yes, a 911 call was made.
So between the time that the phone is used at 3:07 that morning and 3:22, is there any activity that could be seen from the download?
There is.
What is that?
At 3:07, the device is unlocked. At 3:08 a.m., the device reports some type of movement. Either the device itself or a connected device is moving. At 3:12, the phone was unlocked. At 3:16, the phone was unlocked again. At 3:19, the phone was unlocked again, potentially twice. There was movement again at 3:21, and then at 3:22, the 911 call was made.
So roughly a time frame of 15 minutes between the first time that phone is used and the time that a 911 call is placed.
Correct.
Now, the attached device that's recording movement, could that be an Apple Watch?
It could be.
you have any way of telling from the extraction you examined what that device was that was recording that movement?
So far in the extraction, I have not been able to. I may at some point, but at this point, no.
And as far as the movement, what kind of movement is this? Is it significant?
It is significant, I think, for occurring in a home.
And can you explain what that movement was?
Correct. So at 308, there's movement on the phone, or on a device is connected to that phone is moving, and it moves. I don't remember the exact amount of time, but I believe it's several feet. I do know that at some point there was two movements right before the 911 call, and they're both significant. One was about 240 feet, it's like 74 meters and change, and the other one was about 130 feet. This is right before the 911 call.
Okay, thank you. As you were analyzing the forensic data from that extraction, were you able to observe any noticeable patterns of deletion from that phone?
It appears that there is some deletion in that device.
Okay, and can you describe what is being deleted in that phone?
It looks like there's gaps in things like web history, web searches, particularly the call log. When a person makes or receives a call or a text, those are recorded in the call log of the phone. And there are there's messaging that is included in the carrier report, call detail record, that I would expect to see also logged within the device that are not in the device.
Okay, so you're seeing those in the carrier records, but not on the device themselves.
Correct. For instance, there's multiple calls and texts to an individual. I would expect to also see that retained in the call log of the device itself. And in a lot of instances, particularly in the weeks prior to the death, there's a lot of that is missing.
And from the carrier records, are you able to tell who those calls were going to?
Yes.
Who was that?
There are several people. But as it relates to this case, one that stood out was a witness that has been mentioned as CL.
In those carrier records, were there logs of calls made to CL in January of 2022?
I don't recall January.
Did you analyze a forensic extraction of a second iPhone belonging to the defendant that was seized in May of 2023?
Yes.
When did activity?
Now, if you got a BA in 99, then he should be around 50 or something like that. Wouldn't that be pretty normal? But again, he could have good genetics. He has some gray in his hair, so he's probably not as young as he looks, but we're used to watching Judge Schroeder, and he was before Christ in high school, so that was an old guy. This guy, he looks like he maybe know how to work a mobile phone and not have it go off in court when he's ordering. Was cookies he was ordering during the Rittenhouse trial. So this guy is probably late 40s, early 50s, would be my guess.
Did he begin on that phone?
The activity on that phone started shortly after her original phone was seized in April of 2022.
Were you able to observe internet searches on that phone?
Yes.
And did you?
Morning, David. I didn't send you an invite. Some of us stayed up till after midnight last night waiting for someone to get on stream, but someone went out for cigarettes and left all the kids alone at home. So I thought that you have taken the weekend off, so I didn't send you an invite this morning. And good morning, Tweety. Yeah, he probably had his phone on for a reason. I know that the Anderson case, his wife was in the hospital or had to do some kind of operation or something. So, but doing the Rittenhouse, it was just I think it's kind of like someone we know, a boomer moment that his phone was not on silence in court. Yeah, you're always too busy to entertain us last night when my neighbors had a party and this stupid 17, 18-year-old girl was arguing with his girlfriend at 1 a.m. outside my window. I'm too old for that, especially when I'm not drinking myself.
Did you create a PowerPoint of some of those searches?
I did.
Oh, PowerPoints.
And just for the court and council's reference, this is docket item 141. Were you able to tell when those searches were done?
Yes.
How did you do that?
There is a date and time stamp of the history, the web history. So for instance, if you visit a website and you click through it using your device, it will report what date and time that you did that connected to that website.
On April 18th of 2022, did the phone access an internet site of an article entitled "What Happens to Deleted Messages"?
Yes.
On May 10th of 2020.
Was he on Nicholas's and Vice's stream? It's I thought, didn't Vices go for like 8 hours or something like that? How he can do it, I don't get, because sitting here for 3 hours like yesterday is killing my back. But maybe the copious amounts of alcohol helps somebody sit still for so long. Yeah, I had to get off my lawn last night. It's okay to have a party, no problem, but keep it in your house. You don't have to do it in the parking lot. I live in a very small, I don't know what you would call in the US, a homeowner association. It's a small, we are only 20 houses here, and it's mainly older people, so it's pretty quiet here. But we had a 70-year-old boy move in with his mother, and he had a party last night. And when it's after 11, please close your doors and windows, and then you can argue all you want with your girlfriend. But if I'm waiting for David to go online at 1:30 in the morning, and David disappoints me, and I have to listen to, "Oh, Laura, don't tell me you love me. You're always calling when I'm out having fun. You just want to ruin my night." Yeah, I love you, but I don't want to talk to you right now. I can't stand it when you call me. At that time, I'm getting Gran Torino, Clint Eastwood vibes, because I got angry. So the old gray guy put on a tank top and went out and said, "Please shut up and argue with your girlfriend somewhere else." I thought a tank top would be a fat old guy with big tattoos, probably scare some 70-year-old boys. It's a small house I live in, but they are all connected, so it's multiplexes.
22,
or
did that
whatever
phone
you
access
call
a
it,
site for an article
twin houses.
entitled "How Do Police and Forensic Analysts Recover Deleted Data from Phones"?
Yes.
Did that phone ever was a
Andelsbolig.
Quote, "Can
Jeg ved ikke,
cops,
hvad man
period,
kalder det på
uncover
engelsk.
deleted, period, messages, iPhone," close quote.
Yes.
Did that phone search, quote, "How to, period, permanently delete information from an iPhone remotely," close quote?
Yes.
Did that phone search, quote, "Luxury prisons for the rich in America"?
It did.
Let's take that one again. What did she search for?
Internet site of an article entitled "What Happens to Deleted Messages"?
Yes.
On May 10th of 2022, did that phone access a site for an article entitled "How Do Police and Forensic Analysts Recover Deleted Data from Phones"?
Yes.
Did that phone was a query placed in that phone, quote, "Can cops, period, uncover deleted, period, messages, iPhone," close quote?
Yes.
Did that phone search, quote, "How to, period, permanently delete information from an iPhone remotely," close quote?
Yes.
Did that phone search, quote, "Luxury prisons for the rich in America"?
It did.
Did that phone search, quote, "If someone is poisoned, what does it go down on the death certificate as," close quote?
Yes.
Were you able to tell when those things were searched?
The search themselves, there was no date and time reported for the individual search. However, I found corresponding websites to those searches that did have the dates and times in the web history.
And was there a certain time frame that these searches were made?
They were.
Can you describe what that was?
It's typically between, well, shortly after her original phone was seized. So from middle of April of 2022 through, memory serves me right, about August of 2022, off and on.
Thank you.
Friends on the internet, all us laytubers, did David ever teach us anything about using electronic devices if we are possibly doing a crime or thinking about doing a crime? What are the rules for using electronic devices? It's a pop quiz. Everybody should know this because I'm asking on every stream. Is it a good idea to write how to delete stuff on your iPhone? Yeah, excuses, David. Excuses. I said, you're going out for cigarettes, and you said, no, I'm back tonight. It's disappointing. Probably. It's small houses. So I don't know what you would call it. It's a special kind of way we have you can buy houses here in Denmark. Oh, I didn't know this one. Yeah, it's some kind where you buy parts of a community and then you pay rent for your house. So it's a cheaper way to live. Yeah. So I own a 20% of this commune we have here, and then they own the houses and make sure they fix it. But it's not a rental because I have put some money into it in the beginning. Yeah, that's what I remember David saying, to always write everything down in your notebook on your phone. Always photograph everything you do, especially if your boyfriend is in the shower and you have a knife. Remember, the Jody stream will be on at 6 real time, and I think noon in the New World on Nicholas's and David's channel today. But remember, always take pictures and notes of everything illegally you do, and nobody is gonna bat an eye if your Google search is how to kill my husband. Everybody say that's just fine. Nobody thinks that's suspicious. I'm pretty sure that David said that. I don't know. I'm pre-law, so I couldn't give any legal advices. So yeah, so it's called a condominium. The thing I live in. It's a Yeah, and I have a small house. It's nice, and it's not as expensive as buying a full house, but then you have to pay the rent every month. But it's okay. I don't complain. And David, you not saying anything in the chat about the legal advices. We take it as you agree. Always photograph your crimes.
Now, you mentioned your training with cell phone mapping using cell tower data.
Yes.
Have you employed that in your review of the evidence in this case?
I have.
And specifically, can you explain just briefly how cell phone mapping is done using cell phone cell tower data?
Sure. Sorry, I looked that way. I'm used to talking to Gary. So cell mapping is accomplished by taking call detail records that contain tower location in them and putting them into a piece of software that will.
And remember, it's not legal advice, but it's lawful law.
Visually show you a location on a map of which tower that device was accessing when it made or received a call or a text. So it takes lines of data and creates a map out of it.
And is that plotted on like a program like Google Earth?
It is.
Okay. And are you able to tell any directionality from when a phone connects to a tower? Is there any directionality to that where you can tell approximately where that phone is transmitting from.
Yes. Yeah. So the cell phone, the companies report which tower the device is utilizing and which sector. There's an estimated range to that, which is a bit ambiguous on the range. However, it will tell us at least what side of the tower that the device was located when it made or received the call or text.
How many sectors are there on each cell tower?
Typically 3.
And so if a phone is connecting to a tower through a certain sector, can you tell that it's someplace where that sector is for lack of a better word, broadcasting or collecting signals?
Yeah. So we can determine the orientation of the device to certain locations.
I see. Yeah. Did you map data from CL's phone extraction?
This is the moment I would like to ask David if he had the time. He has family stuff. Who needs a family? Because these cell phone triangulations, I'm not saying it's junk science like tool markings and stuff like that, but as I understand it, when I'm presented with it, it's just inside some triangle. At some point in that triangle, the cell phone emitting the signal is situated, and then you maybe have 2 or 3 towers that picks up, so you can make a triangulation. But again, how well can you establish the range from the towers that the cell phone is on? And he said it himself that, well, it's a bit iffy on the range, but I find that a lot of time they talk about it as it's settled science that this phone was at this location at this moment, and what they can say is it was inside this cone at this time. And maybe if you have 2 towers overlapping cones, you can say it was in this area more precisely, but you couldn't say with any degree of certainty if it was in room A or B in a house.
I did.
Were you able to track that phone's movements on February 11th of 2022?
Yes,
At any time was it at or near a Maverick gas station in Draper, Utah?
it is.
And are you aware of the significance?
Well, Jungmin, I thought that nobody else streams on Saturdays because everybody else been drinking on Fridays, and I wasn't invited. So I thought I could jump into this, and seeing yesterday that my 1-hour stream turned into 3.5 hours, I thought, well, better get started early, and then everybody is ready at noon when Nicholas is going back to Jody on Nicholas Starrow's channel or on ML's Law Show. Either one of those or both of those are the best shows online when I'm not online. Even when I'm online, they're better. That's what I hear too, because defense lawyer always brings this up, that it's not an accurate measurement. And you can say we have a tower here, and it's these 3 cones from this tower, and in this phone was in cones C for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes at this particular hour. Yeah, but you can't triangulate by signal strength because the phone doesn't automatically jump to the nearest tower, because if the nearest tower is busy, it jumps to the next tower to try and make the connection. It's the same if you're sending a snap or an instant messenger. The phone signal will prioritize going to the nearest tower, but the other ones can be stuck somewhere till you hit a tower with capacity to send your Snapchat or something. So it's kind of like I don't know if it's not junk science, because again, you can say this phone emitted a signal inside this cone at this hour, but you can't say if it's in a densely populated area that it was at block 8 or block 20 in one block. So but it's just someone sees it just like a fingerprint, that it's sure 100% science, but it's kind of iffy. But I think most defense lawyers are pretty good at bringing it up that it's not settled science that this phone was at this location at this hour. Yeah, and that's right. If you have more than one tower, but as we saw in the Murdoch trial, I believe they only had one at the house and maybe two on the road, because yeah, driving across Denmark, there are some places where you can't get well, 4G is even it's hard somewhere if you get in the black spots, but normally you can use more than one tower and then circle and say this is pretty accurate. But if you only have one tower, it's hard to say. I'm not sure I'm loving that name. Yeah, but I'm also just what I've been presented with some location data as at some trials where the defense focused in on that you have to remember that it's not, you can't put a pin in the map and say it's exactly at this spot he was at this time. It was somewhere in this circle, but if it's important, I don't know. Yeah, and what I heard in this case where they used it very heavily, the explanation was that if it's a phone signal, it's more likely to go to the nearest mast. But if you're sending something something like a Snapchat or something other than just a phone signal, it can jump around or maybe be stuck if all the capacity on the next 5 towers is full. It would seem to you that you sent the Snapchat, but maybe it just it left your phone 2 minutes after because it's waiting for some room in the tower capacity. Just like yesterday we had a national football game, the real football, not the hand football you play. And if you're anywhere close to the stadium, you can't use your cell phone because everybody is sending photos and calling friends. So it's the towers get overloaded, so you can't use it. And then sometime time later, it will just go through like a cork in a button being open, and then everything floods out of your phone. So it's not an accurate way to describe where someone was at a given time. It sounds a little like boobs, so I don't know. I'm a fan of boobs, but I'm not sure I want it as a nickname.
Significance of that location in this investigation?
I am.
And what is that?
This is the location that CL had indicated to detectives that she bought.
Yeah, I saw that.
Do you recall approximately what time?
But I'm
of day
not
that
really
was?
good at getting into the Discord.
She shows up on that tower near that Maverick at about 6:49 p.m. and remains there until about 8 p.m. on February 11th, 2022.
Does that phone make any calls or send any texts while at that location?
It did.
And to anyone notable to this investigation?
Yes, 2 people.
Who was that?
One would be to another acquaintance in which CL indicated she had purchased the drugs from, and CL was also texting with the defendant.
While she was at a gas station in Draper purchasing narcotics.
Correct.
On that day, did the phone go to a did the phone go to a location in Heber City?
It did.
Hello, Gigi. Thank you for stopping by. And everybody, Gigi
The
didn't
mapping
do it.
you
I
did,
was with her at the
of
time.
CL's phone consistent with the account that CL gave to law enforcement regarding that first drug purchase.
Yes.
Were you able to track CL's phone movements on March 9th of 2022?
Yes,
Was the phone ever in Francis, Utah on that day?
it was.
Was it ever at or near the same Maverick in Draper, Utah?
It was.
Were there any communications from the phone at that time while it was at the Maverick?
Yes, at the Maverick, yes.
Did it communicate with any phone?
Yeah, there's a lot of people, and just for a bail hearing, but it's a high-profile case. She did all the media to us, so a lot of people is interested in this case. I believe so, and it'll be interesting going closer to the trial date because everybody's talking about this case, and it's kind of strange. As I said yesterday, this was brought. My sister brought this case up to me, and she lives in Switzerland, and so it's not just a local murder case, because this woman had done all the press tours with her children's book about kids missing their dad. I'm not saying that's a motive to sell books, but it's a good idea if anyone should off somebody and maybe write a book about it, like OJ. If I did it, that was a bestseller too, if I remember right.
Belonging to a person relevant to this investigation.
It did.
Who was that?
At the Maverick, it communicated with, I guess, corroborating witnesses to the drug purchase on the 9th. When the device was utilizing a tower in Francis, it was about midday on March 9th, and CL's phone was in communication with the defendant's phone.
While she was in Francis, Utah.
Correct.
Did the phone go to a location in Midway, Utah on or about that day?
Yes.
Are the movements that you tracked for CL's cell phone on March 9th of 2022 consistent with the information she gave to law enforcement in this investigation?
Yes.
Finally, I want to speak with you briefly about Mr. Eric Richins' phone. Did you analyze a forensic extraction of his phone?
I did.
When was the last use recorded from Eric's phone?
From memory, I believe it was about 9:58 p.m. on March 3rd, 2022.
And are the times that are on the extraction from that are populated in the Celebrate download, are those, what time zone are those given in?
Typically, the extraction is provided in UTC 0.
Okay.
Yes.
And so if you have to, so can you just briefly explain what UTC 0 is?
Right. So UTC 0 is Greenwich Mean Time. It's an effort by people that utilize data and do data investigations to try and keep everybody on the same time zone. Utah is in UTC -7 during standard daylight time, and we are in -6 in daylight savings time. So from November, in this case, from November of 2022 to about March 13th. I'm sorry, November of 2021.
Morning.
Good morning, Jamie. Well, I'm not saying anything, but we made it 30 minutes in already, and
I
we've
know.
only been going 37 minutes. So I don't know what's different today, but I'm making good time. I sped it up too, because I have it's so hot here today. It's in the 70s, so I'm boiling. But did you watch his testimony so far?
I've been watching you this morning. I was making breakfast because
What do you
last time
think?
I didn't eat, so I was like, I'm gonna make it before I get on.
Yeah, it's a good idea. But what do you think about the Google searches? Special prison for rich people?
Yeah, that's not good.
Maybe she's just interested. But maybe I know
I mean,
Donald Trump is.
I would Google stuff like that, but it's just very specific in the situation. So.
And I think everybody who follows along on the Discord knows, on David's Discord knows that if Farrell ever becomes a suspect in any case, she's done for.
Yeah.
If they get their hands on her phone, she can just plead guilty. She can't explain why she has the stuff on her phone she has.
I mean,
I'm just
we could probably
investigating.
back her up if we had to. Be like, listen,
Yeah,
look at this
but
Discord and this channel we follow.
then they're gonna look on our phones and going,
And we'll
can
get
we trust them?
to
Bringing us before Jura. Why did you search Jodi Arias areolas?
saucer nips.
Why do you have a lot of text with #3-hole magic wonder? I don't know. For fun.
Oh my God, stop.
Yeah. So again, Farrell better keep. I have a deal with Gigi that I will always be her alibi and she would be mine, but Farrell could be in trouble. So I think she has to have some legal document from David saying she's an investigator or something, so she can explain why she's looking into the stuff she's looking into and why she has all those pictures.
Oh my God.
She could get the attic pictures from the electric fireplace case, I'm sure.
Hell yeah, I want to see that.
and nobody saw them, but she has them. Yeah, she has an established pattern of degenerate searches. Yeah. People will say, "Oh, only stabbing someone."
That's right.
It could be true. It could be
It's a
her.
pattern. She can't be found guilty. Ma'am, she's been Googling this stuff since like 1973. So come on.
Salvador, you have to put in some kind of explosive device that are triggered by your heart stopping, because who can you trust these days to not look through your devices when you're gone?
Yeah.
Even if you made a pact, somebody would say, well, just have to see. What is this folder? Not interesting. Funny name for a folder on the dash, on the front of the computer. I'd better look into it. I didn't expect to see Jodi Arias's magic hole like that.
I was too.
Going through the Discord sometimes it's you're kind of crossing your fingers and hoping not to see too much, but then you get sucked into degeneracy.
Yeah.
So, but no, let's see if I thought yesterday we did agree that the defense poked some, and not in this hearing. We know everybody knows that it's not going that well for her, but in front of a jury it could be effective.
Yeah.
To March, I believe it was March 13th, 2022. Local time in Utah was UTC -7.
Okay. So if those times are given on that download as UTC -5, that would be Eastern Standard Time?
Correct. It would be 2 hours ahead of local Utah time.
So to adjust for Mountain Standard Time, you would have to go back.
How
2
can
hours.
you
subtract 2 hours?
figure out all
And
those
that's what gave you
time
Can
zones?
you repeat that the last time that Eric's phone was used on March 3rd?
I believe it was
It's
9
If I go to
p.m. on
if I
March
go to England, I have to subtract an hour, and if I go down to Spain or something, I think there's maybe an hour. I have
Thank
to
you, Mr. Cook.
put in
Those
an hour
are all
extra,
my
but
questions this time.
trying to figure out when people are streaming and what time zone they're in. It's I have a chart on my phone, so I can see, oh, Eastern Standard Time, it's plus 6 hours. Then the next zone, and then
You
5
specify
states don't
there,
follow the others, and it's
essentially
just
two explanations for why
I have to
things,
Google it all the time.
might be missing
Yeah.
in a download. One is that it's not captured in the download, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that can happen.
It can.
And then the other is whether or not it's been deleted.
Right.
In this case, all you can say definitively is that it's missing, correct?
Correct.
Now, with regard to movement, that could be any device that is essentially attached to the phone through an app, correct?
It could be, yes.
Okay. And so you can't say, looking at what you analyzed, exactly what device that was, correct?
So far, no.
And you can't tell where that device was in terms of location, correct?
Correct.
So it's possible that that could have been a device attached to it from some other location, but the phone's recording it, correct?
It would be unlikely.
But it's possible if it's connected to an app.
It depends on the range.
Okay.
It would be impossible outside a certain range.
And there's a number of different ways to, or different programs, and forgive me, I am not an expert in this. So there's a number of different programs or extractions that can be done on phones, correct? Or different ways to do them.
Correct.
Okay. Did you perform an independent extraction on this phone?
I did not.
Okay, or on any of the phones you've talked about today?
No.
oh, so it's the line.
Did you analyze
evidence,
any data
line of evidence,
prior
the custody
to
of
January
evidence.
2022 on either CL's
What's it called?
phone or
Could be a
either
problem.
phone, or I guess the first phone belonging to Ms. Richins?
I don't believe I did.
Okay, were you asked to only look at a particular date range?
Not necessarily, no.
Were you given the date range of interest?
There we
Yeah.
go. I wanted to see her.
And so you didn't cross-reference any communication or
Looks like
the frequency of communication between CL
the
and Kouri prior
evil
to
stepmother,
January
the queen from Snow White.
So could be that they communicated all the time and you wouldn't have known.
Yes.
So this could have been just a normal course of communication between. the
Chain
two.
of custody, that's the word. English hard, no speaky.
You speak it just fine.
When I was deployed, I had
Were you made aware
Polish
of
people working
when,
with me,
the
and
search warrant was, or when the first phone was seized?
they didn't speak English, so
And did
we
you- were you
used
given a copy of
some
the search warrant?
combination of swearing in Polish,
Were you made
German,
aware
English,
that
kind of
the search
Danish,
warrant included
and then
evidence of
Bosnish
homicide that they were looking at?
to speak. It was, if you didn't know
And in that first phone,
what we were
prior
doing, you wouldn't
to
understand anything.
Eric passing away, were you able to review any search
Hold on. These dogs are
history
having a
about
dog fight back here.
Whose device?
on the first device of
Uh,
Ms. Richins?
Yes, yes.
And were there any searches related to fentanyl on that?
Not that I found. There were not many searches available to
And
look at.
no searches related to prisons either?
No, not in that time frame.
No searches related to deleting messages?
No.
And so all the searches came from the second phone, correct?
The web searches mentioned,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that was the phone that was seized after the search warrant was issued for the first phone, correct?
That was,
'Cause
yes.
that's the
So
phone
that
she got
was-
as a replacement, right?
Yes, correct.
I just want to return to this mapping.
That could be a good explanation why she did the searches, because it was on the phone she obtained after her first phone was taken into the police custody when they had the search warrant. So yeah, it looks bad, but again, it was after the murder, and if there was nothing on the first phone, she could have deleted it, of course. But if I was going to prison, I would probably be looking stuff up too. But the how to delete things on an iPhone remotely, that's the part I think the jurors will hear when it's presented to them.
We're moved to this mapping that you discussed. Did you look at the mapping on the second phone of Ms. Richins?
I did not.
So the state didn't ask you to compare Ms. Richins' phone to CL's location at any point, correct?
They did.
Okay.
Yes. they
But you
did.
couldn't do it? Or didn't do it?
The records, the mapping location for those called detail records through Verizon are no longer available
On the second phone?
on either phone.
Okay, so you were able to get them off of CL's phone, but because of Verizon, you weren't able to get them on Ms. Richins' phone?
Correct.
That's interesting that they could get the location data of one phone, but Verizon doesn't keep it as long. I believe that, I don't know if it's only in Denmark or it's all of EU, the carriers have to collect some data and keep it for some time. This case isn't that old. It's from last year, so it's amazing that they lost this already. But again, maybe it's different.
And on that March 9th date, you discussed her being in Francis midday in the Maverick. What time was she at that Maverick?
It was about 3 p.m.,
So after
2 or
she'd
3
been,
p.m.
after she'd been to,
She was
To Francis.
she was in Francis around midday.
Okay.
And she was at the Maverick at about 2:33 p.m.
Okay. Did she go back to Francis?
She went to Heber.
And she lives in Heber.
She does.
I don't think I have another question.
What was the Maverick again? It's just like a gas station or something?
Yeah, some kind of service station.
Yeah, Your Honor, State Public Carrington.
It's the
Ooh.
place that should be that she exchanged the drugs.
Gotcha.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter before the court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the pains and penalties of perjury?
Morning. Could you spell your, I'm sorry, could you state your name and spell your last name, please?
Brooke Carrington, Karrington.
Carrington, that's
How
from
are you
Dallas,
employed?
right?
I am a
Oh,
principal.
no, you're not
manager
old
at
enough to watch
Carrington
Dallas.
Financial Forensics.
Is this a company that you started?
Yes, it is.
And when did you do that?
No, I've never watched it.
Officially in,
It's funny sometimes when I'm when we hear stuff like that. Oh, the first really American show like that been shown on Danish television. I remember you sat at home because we had one TV channel until I can't remember. I know Mass is gonna Google it, but we only had one TV channel, and then in Danish, and then 3 German channels I could pick up here where I live. So when there was something like that, some entertainment, everybody was sitting at home because we couldn't choose to watch it at odd hours. And then my stupid kids one day, they asked me, Dad, did they have color TV when you were young? I said, yeah, of course. Why? Well, you use flip phones. I said, flip phones are in again. Yeah, but your kind of flip phones, that's they were the old ones. They laughed. I believe we watched.
Are you gonna tell us
Oh,
how old you are?
what?
Are you gonna tell us how old you are? Because you
I
always
have.
seem so old and you do not look that old.
Well, you're flattering, but I'm an old man.
No, you're not.
I have said how old I am.
No, I don't think so.
So
I don't remember.
I said I was born the year the king died.
And I told you I don't know things like that. Americans don't keep on things like that.
It's the American king.
I don't.
And then somebody said the stupid thing. Well, Michael Jackson. No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't the king.
That is what we base our things off of. Michael Jackson, the king of pop. Britney Spears for me. She's my favorite.
I can remember Britney Spears as a young man of, I would say, around 1920. I remember Britney Spears very well on MTV. Those
Sweetie
school
has it.
uniforms,
Are you 55?
kinda.
Is it higher or lower?
There's not even a 5 anywhere in the number. So, whatever time it is in
45?
Bakeland, it's almost 3 p.m. So it's yeah, and it's from Dallas. I knew it, and I can still. When JR got shot, I still remember everybody. It was amazing, and all the young kids are sitting here and say, people get shot all the time. Not back then. It was a different times, kids.
You're adorable. You can claim you're old all you want. You're not old. You are a child just like the rest of us.
Yeah, the how to delete things. That's pretty bad. All the other stuff I could understand why you would search that. At least use your children's tablet if you're gonna Google stuff like that. Yeah, in 1988 we got the second channel. So and it was revolutionary because they were allowed to use ads because we have a license, a TV license in Denmark. So one channel, it couldn't. We never seen ads. So on the German television, when they brought on ads, it was just how amazing, and we couldn't buy any of that stuff in Denmark. So that's
Yeah.
funny how much it meant back then. I remember when the second channel called TV2. Yeah, we don't have that.
TV2.
We don't have that much imagination. But when they came on, the first evening they had made kind of like parody commercials, and everybody was just loving it. It was a strange time, and I remember when I visited the US in, I believe, 95 or 96, just going through the television, and they had daytime TV on and stuff like that. We didn't have. I don't think we had a 24-hour news channel till in the aughts, maybe in 2010s sometime. So it was a different world.
Boiled rotten. We didn't get cable until I was like 12. And that's not because it wasn't available. It's just my dad was cheap.
And today
I had
none
like
of us
one
has.
channel too.
Yeah, and today none of us have cable because
I know. I got rid of
we
it.
are all sitting watching stupid people talking on YouTube
Yep,
about salmon-colored shoes and a dominatrix belt.
exactly.
It's more fun than I primarily use my television for watching sports.
No, I go right to YouTube. And like sports and YouTube.
Yeah. David, doesn't love it more than she loves you, but I'm the only one who's not going out for cigarettes all the time, blowing her off and saying, "Well, I was gonna do a stream, but no, Jamie, you're not important enough. Jamie is very important to me, so I'll entertain Jamie.
Hear that, Dave? I'm kidding.
You better watch out, Dave. I'm gonna steal her."
I love you both immensely. You're so much fun. I love everybody just throwing numbers out in the chat of your age and your
Yeah. Then I should have. No. No. It's if I'm 42, I wish. We don't use nudity to sell breakfast cereal. We do have a. Yeah, I'm not monetized. I can say it. We have a children's show called John. How would you do it? Like he's called Dealer Man. Dealer is what we call when you have a small boy. It's the name of his appendix. So this guy runs around with a very, very long and can use it for good. That's a children's television. And if you could just understand Danish, you should look up. We had someone making parodies and sketches back then. You couldn't show anything about that today. They have a song about a guy going on a date with a girl and realizing, nope, it wasn't a girl. Today, it couldn't be done. Today, it's just reality, but back then, it was all the rave. We have a different view on sexuality than Americans.
Oh my God.
You are so right, Mads, because when you have 24 hours coverage, the politicians and the news media is gonna have to fill 24 hours. And it's it.
It's awful. I would never. Ugh.
Yeah, Dave.
Be consistent. Consistency is what we like in our lives.
And not just cancel 5 minutes after you're supposed to go on. I was staying up all night. My brother was born in 72, I believe. No.
And is he older or younger?
No, my middle brother was born in 73. That's he just turned 50. No, we are not using naked kids. We just have we have bus advertising. If you like the defense lawyer in this case, who had a little help with the sweater puppies, in my opinion, we have bus commercials with the sweater puppies without coverage, so you can see what you could buy. That's okay. Somebody's a bit angry about that, but you can, if you go to any town in Denmark and some buses, you can see sweater puppies just going by. It's different. We were the first, I believe, the first country to legalize porn, so it's different. It's Europe. Well, nudity is fun.
He said he stalked you already. He
know my hometown and everything. I just hope the French maid pictures won't show up anywhere.
If that's your age, you're not even close to being old, so stop it.
Well,
my birthday's on Monday, so.
Ooh, cake.
I know, my parents invited me over to their house for gifts and food today. So I'm like, woo!
Nice.
Bring it on.
The John Dillerman thing, you can find it online. It made a big stir like 2 or 3 years ago because somebody from, I believe, America went to Denmark and saw this children's entertainment with a very long dong, and they made headlines everywhere. I don't know why. Jesus. Farrell has a competition.
He does. Mads is 2.0. Farrell 2.0.
Yeah. I was born 13 days after the king's birthday, and he died in the 17th of June that year, I believe, in the on the toilet. Yeah. You know, she knows you have to go out for cigarettes sometimes, and disappear for a full weekend. But if you are disappearing for a weekend, I steal Jamie, so I win.
Yeah. You do you, Dave.
Yeah, we have Fruit Loops. We have all the American cereals. When I was younger, Kellogg's used to have a factory in my town, but then they moved to, I believe, Germany or Holland. But we had a Kellogg's factory in my town.
Oh, everybody's shocked. You have Fruit Loops?
Why do you have to do it that late? I'll be sleeping at that time. That's around. Oh, now I have to math. That'll be around 3 a.m. for me.
Oh God.
So that's the big problem of making friends across the pond, because if you want to have fun when there's a drinking stream or something like that. Jeff's drinking stream last night started at 3 a.m. for me, so I can't watch it. And watching people the next day getting drunk, it's not the same as following along in chat and making fun of it. And I think Nicholas has started at around 11 p.m. So it's a bit late.
What time do you go to bed every day?
Normally around 11, and then up again at 5. Oh, maybe you can make the news and we can cover that case.
Well, yeah. What's going on, Gigi?
Yeah, you have to spill the beans.
Spill those beans.
All of the cool kids were born in the 80s. No.
Yeah, they were.
You didn't live through. I had 3 years of corduroy pants and everything was brown. At least you can remember things like color. We didn't have that when I was young.
I love the 80s. Even though technically I didn't really do much in the 80s. I'm a 90s. 90s was my thing, but
80s was my school years. So
your school year.
I started in school in 83, I believe, as a 5-year-old. Yeah, 83. No, 82. So from 82 to 93. So mostly the 80s. Yeah, and bakers, when they're not bakers anymore, they have this stupid internal clock that is always set to get up early, and when you're awake, you just stay awake. So I'm living on 5 hours most day, and I'm always tired. But then I can go online and entertain people. Yeah, we are practically twins. I'm pretty sure we had the same postman, so that's why we look alike.
No, you're not
At
old.
least I look like the one in the left on your picture.
Oh my God, stop it.
Yeah, but you look younger than any of us. That's the problem.
Probably.
Yeah, and if you don't have the problem with doing these trial streams is normally if I have a nap, I have it between 1 and 2 or 2 and 3, and these streams always start at 3 in the afternoon at my time, so you can't sleep there either, and then you go on till like 11 at night, and then you're bust and have to use 2 hours to get down. So yeah.
I know, I'm up at 6:30 every morning usually, so no matter what.
I'm sorry to say, but I hate most 80s music.
Why?
I hate Depeche Mode.
We can't be friends anymore.
I hate most of. I'm a 90s boy. I remember all the cheesy boy bands and Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera before she just started singing.
Okay. Now I love you again because those are all.
Yeah. There's nothing better. Even
But I like 80s pop music. Like I love 80s pop music.
Yeah, but the things that my sister just took her boy to his first Depeche Mode concert, and I said, "What did he do wrong?" I don't know. It's a punishment.
Yes,
Yeah, Metallica was good back then. Hard rock was pretty good at around 1990. Hip hop was really good back then. I hate modern hip hop. The good old things with all the words I can't say as a white man. Those were the days with hip hop. But today, all this speed and mumble rap, I hate it. Yeah, hate is a strong word. Yeah.
As
Okay.
your elder. Get
I'm
out.
I dislike Depeche Mode with a passion. Then I don't hate them, but I would never listen to it if I could. It's the same. I don't like Queen music, and everybody, the Queen is great. Name me 2 songs Queen made. Yeah, the one we always clap along to. Yeah, and the next one, We Are Champions. Okay, one more. I don't know, but Freddie Mercury. I watched the movie. Did we get sidetracked again? No, just for 20 minutes.
Well,
I'm-
everybody's chatting. And it's funny.
I think 2012 when I registered that business, but I'd been doing this for about 35 years.
What's the nature of the
I can
business?
carry a lot of hate.
I look
so-
at most of the cases.
No, I like all the
forensic
hip hop
accounting,
and all the
most of
rock
casework
music. Most of the
is,
rock music from the 80s.
cases where there are
and
allegations of
90s.
fraud or missing or misappropriated funds, tracing of bank transactions, and casework like that.
And how
New
long have you
Kids on
done
the
that?
Block. That was great
35 years
music.
next month.
Oh,
You have a
you
undergraduate
just
degree?
stole my
What
heart.
is it in?
It's in English.
And what about a
That was my
graduate
first
degree?
I
love.
have an MBA.
What's the song about? Go around the world
Have
and
any
hey, girl.
certifications or other degrees?
Yes, I am a certified.
Well, they've been all around the
fraud
world, but they
examiner.
want to go
I
home to
also
this girl
am,
because she's
certified in
memory lane. It just hit me.
laundering transactions. I am also working towards.
It's the first CD my
certification in
neighbor got.
blockchain and
We were listening to
cryptocurrency.
it all the time.
So this is probably
I loved
gonna be
Please
a
Don't.
lot. But in your
Girl.
35 years of forensic accounting, how many cases have you worked on?
A couple of years ago, I had to quantify that, and at that time, it was about 4,600. So
Oh my God, I'm glad it's not me, and I'm hoping that everything will be okay because that's oof, that's not
my
something
God.
we really ever have here. It's yeah, it's scary.
I forgot she was in Texas. Yeah, I seen they had some crazy weather going on.
It's and it's hard because we don't have tornadoes, and we do have storms, but when we see things like that from the US, it's just amazing. I can
Really? You
remember
have that kind of weather over there?
we have storms. Maybe every 3 or 5 years we have some big storms, but we live right out on the west coast. If I can point to my little map up here, over here it blows in from the Atlantic Ocean, and it's always windy over there, and sometimes it blows a lot. But I can remember when back in '99 we had a big storm, and like 3 people died, and everybody's talking about that storm yet again still because it was such a big storm, and I slept through it because I had been up working, and then I was supposed to go out and drinking, and it was canceled because it was storming, so I slept right through it, and 3 people died, or 5 people, or something like that. We talk about that.
Well, when you say storm, what do you mean? Like tornado, stuff like that?
No, it's just blowing wind and
Really?
rain.
Wow.
We don't have we can have small tornadoes in the summer when it gets hot, but nothing that could take you away to us.
I actually enjoy crazy weather like that, but I don't want anybody to get hurt. I just want it to like happen all the time, as long as nobody's getting hurt.
Aqua had a song called "Back to the 80s" or something like that, and that was a banger too. So
You say Aqua?
yeah, that's the name. They're from Denmark. What's the real
I
name?
know.
Who? I have a funny story.
Barbie girl group, yeah.
Yeah, and they're Danish, so we should know how to pronounce the name. But when I was a young apprentice, I worked every second weekend, and then my town was famous back then for being the town with most bars or clubs per citizen. We are an old sailor town, so we had a lot of places where people starting out playing music came and played on the weekends on the discos or stuff like that, in the clubs as you call it. And one weekend, my friend came back after and said, "Well, it's pretty good group this weekend. It's something like Aqua or something. I'm not sure they're gonna make it because it's kind of like cheesy pop music." And the next weekend, I was off work, so I went down, and it was a girl called, I believe, Twiggy or Ticky or something like that. She had one song, and she had 90 minutes to fill, and she had one song. And halfway through the second playing of this song, the tape stopped working, and she didn't sing at all. So she had a jester to be a backup dancer, and he just looked like, "Could you please drag me out back and shoot me?" It was so bad. They gave us beers just to stay to see if they could fix the playback, and then my friend got to see Aqua before Aqua blew up, and I got to see Tiki, and I think she made a CD with 2 songs on it, and one of them I heard 2.5 times on a disco back in my town. It was a pretty bad show.
I love Aqua. I could probably sing every song on their first CD. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but in Esbjerg, if it's not windy enough to blow the others off a cow, it's not windy. Then it's just, it's a good day.
I love that you guys have this, the storm of 99.
Yeah, but it was and then when I was in the US, I was visiting Illinois, and we drove down to see Memphis, and there has been some flooding, and I was just amazed with all this water standing everywhere, because we have had floods too, especially where I live, because I live right next to the water, but it's gone in a day or maybe 2. There it was just standing water. I was just, this is strange.
When did you come to the US?
I can't remember, it was from 95 or 96, and then I was back with my kids in 18, 19.
Do you have family over here?
No, sister was a exchange student, and I got to visit her for 2 weeks. So I have been to a prom. Oh my God, that was boring.
Went to prom.
Yeah, and I guess who had me as a prom date?
Oh.
The one who got a basketball scholarship. And in my passport, I'm 6 feet, and I have never been 6 feet tall in my life. I'm like 178 centimeters. I think it's like 5'9", 5'10". And standing next to this girl, and I had to dance with her, and I met her once before. So it's just so awkward. And I was looking straight into her boobs. It was so, we had the picture standing next to each other, and I had never worn a tuxedo before in my life. And we went to Red Lobster, and it was just, and then we had to go to the school. And when are we start drinking? Yeah. Can you get us some beer? Because they would sell me beer because I had a Danish passport. So I said, well, and I think I was 18 at the time, so I was allowed to buy beer at the shop there. So they said, well, could you get a 6-pack? And I thought, well, you have 12 packs, so yeah, get a 12-pack. So I asked my sister, do you need one too? And they were just looking at us. What? She said, yeah, well, 12 each. That's a pretty good night out. And they were just, are you crazy? I said, well, it's Budweiser. It's like sex in a boat, fucking close to water. You can't get drunk on that. And this, they were just amazed. Do you drink? I said, yeah. I started going to. We have a youth dances, and I believe the first one was when I was 13 years old, and the second one I was so drunk I fell over the white lines on the road. So I could drink when I was 18, but again, that's a different. I don't understand how you can drive a car and never been drunk. You don't know what the beer does to your body. So it was a strange time, but everybody was just a 12-pack alone. Yeah. I thought it was a
your
party.
stories are amazing, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's back in the, and the stupid girl from school who, how did you get over here? Flew. Can plane land in Denmark? Because when I look on the map, it's not that big. Yeah. I'm not saying Americans are stupid, but some Americans are stupid. Some Danes are stupid too.
Well, I'll
They
say
think
that all day.
not every American runs around with an AR-15 and shoots everybody, but some believe that too. But again, I got her to believe that I had to ride the horse and carriage down to Germany and take the plane from Germany because, and she believed it. She asked my sister weeks later, "Is it true?" And she was, no. We have one of the busiest airports in Copenhagen Airport is one of the busiest airports in Europe, but I don't know. Well, ask stupid question, get stupid answers. That's yeah.
Oh my God.
Awkward boobs are usually the best part of the date, but a female basketball player built kind of like me. I'm built to work on a farm. It's let's just say we were a sweet couple, and back then I was kind of slim, but not that slim, and I'm just happy that at some point I think she had a boyfriend she wasn't allowed to go out with. So when we came back we had to go to the school after the party, so we didn't do anything stupid. I was just okay. I thought we should do stupid stuff. I see that in the movies. Every prom I've seen on movies, they do stupid stuff, but nope. Not in Geneseo. That's not the place for stupid stuff. We had to go back and play sports. Sports at 11 in the evening. Americans are crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, we know when we have too much to drink, so we can't drive. I know exactly how many beers I can drink before I'm too drunk to drive, and I have known that from before I got drivers. In Denmark, you can start getting your driver's license at I believe 16, and the first year you have to have a co-pilot in the car above 25 who has to be sober, and after 18 you can drive on your own. But when you turn 18 in Denmark, you have been drunk more than once, so you know what drinking does to the body. Somebody out for the first time doing tequila, having 5 shots, thinking I'm gonna drive home, and then the hammer drops. Oh, I missed you.
Was it you, Tweety? Oh my God.
It could be really, really fun. Just
was
as I
glad
said,
you had
how
your-
awkward it was.
Yes.
Somewhere there's a very disappointed girl with a young blonde Dane at her side, looking kind of, why do we have to take pictures in front of your family?
she
Why
have
did I have to
pictures
buy
like
a
this?
flower and put it on your hand? I didn't understand any of it. But there were free sodas, and there was all the kind of sodas we didn't have in Denmark. Mountain Dew. I had never had that before, and Dr. Pepper was the first time in '95 I had that. I love Dr. Pepper, and root beer. That should just be. I don't know if you can abolish it with fire or whatever you have to do, but root beer is the worst thing I ever drunk in my life.
Really? Oh, I love root beer.
Maybe it's the wrong kind, but my sister said, "Try this. It's root beer." And so, oh, and she was just laughing.
You got to have a root beer float.
It's just like potato salad. Everybody said, oh, try my potato salad. It's great. I hate potato salad. Every kind of potato salad. No, you haven't tried mine.
Oh, I was gonna
I
say.
don't like the texture. That's the problem. So, but we never get sidetracked. Focus.
Well, the chat's hilarious.
Good morning, Murph. You came in just in time to start. We're starting up with the financial examiner. We had the guy looking into her electronic devices before. She had some interesting Google searches. One of those is how to delete things remotely on an iPhone. after the police seized her iPhone.
Do you
Not
have
that-
pictures
that-
of this prom date that you were on?
I had some pictures, but right around the time when I got married, a lot of pictures disappeared about where any kind of female not related to me was on those pictures. They just disappeared right around that time. I don't know how, but I had it framed on my wall somewhere. So it was.
No, you didn't.
I
you-
did. It was. I've been to a prom. I had to hang it on my wall, and
Oh my god, it was amazing.
I've just felt sorry for her. She had to take this stupid Danish guy who had been in the US for a week. She didn't know. She was very good friends with my sister, and she was a really sweet lady. And it was just awkward because I'm just a short, chubby guy, and dancing with a girl who got a basketball scholarship. And I'm sure she had a crush on some football player or something, and she had to settle with me. I feel sorry for her, and I had a wonderful time. And if I ever see you again, I'm buying you another dinner because it was different, and I was very shy. I'm a very shy guy, and I was afraid to order dinner at the restaurant because I'm not sure how to say things, and I'm just sorry. And I kept the picture and I had it, but then I got married, and all the pictures disappeared, and it wasn't by. I was doing a lot of exercises with the military around 9/11, so things disappeared when I was out doing military drills. I don't know how. Probably some gnomes or something.
I love that you're talking to her like she might be watching. Oh my god, I'm dying.
It's Tweety. We established Tweety and I went to the prom together.
Yeah.
But again, if she ever just coincidentally falls into this stream and hear me saying it was an awkward date, I just want to say it. Some 28 years later, I can still remember our date. How many other guys can say that they remember their date with you? Because I'm caring like that.
Aaron said it could have been her.
It could be all of them. So the next time I'm going to the US, if any of you need a prom date, I can be the awkward guy standing next to you, trying not to touch inappropriately, especially because you're I can't say ass. I am not monetized. Your ass area is right where because I'm such a small guy. That's why I have my camera that high, so I look like I have some height on me.
Oh my
Yeah, she could be watching, and she has to know that I still remember her. Again,
right, Gigi.
how many of you, if you called up your prom date, would say, "I think about you sometimes. I just talked about you in front of 14 people who doesn't know anything about you, and said it was a wonderful time." Yeah, why can't you just do measurement in the right way? It's stupid. And the clock, why do we have to have 12 hours? The rest of the world use 24 hours. Americans are weird. Yeah, but we want more of independence. Yes, and then you lost a few years later. Get over it. The Vikings found you first. You should be celebrating us, not Columbus.
I'm tall
Side-
too, sweetie, but I know he wasn't my prom date. I'm pretty certain.
Probably more
I
now.
didn't take
More now.
pictures of it.
Have you provided testimony in financial crimes cases?
Yes, I have.
How often?
A handful of times per year, I would say.
Okay. How did you first get involved in this case?
I was originally contacted by the investigator for the estate of Kouri Richins,
And who's that?
Todd Gabler.
Okay. And why did he contact you, or what was his reason for contacting you?
Mr. Gabler and I have been acquaintances and colleagues for 30 years, and he expressed to me that I have a skill set that he knows nothing about. So
And who hired you?
the estate hired me initially.
Okay. And at some point, were you retained by the Summit County Attorney's Office?
Yes,
When was that?
I believe it was May 31st of this year, just a couple weeks ago.
So as part of your being hired by the estate and being retained by the Summit County Attorney's Office, have you reviewed any documents that are relevant in this case?
Yes,
What have you reviewed?
I've reviewed bank account statements, tax return documents, real property records, specifically trust deeds and warranty deeds, reconveyances. I've also reviewed insurance policy documents, tax information.
Okay. Specifically with respect to the defendant, were you able to determine whether or not she owns any businesses?
Yes,
What business does she own?
she owns several businesses, and the most relevant one to this case, I believe, is Kouri Richins Realty LLC.
Okay. What kind of business is that?
It's in the business, in the realty business, real estate business, and I understand.
So
she
she's a
flips
realtor.
homes, but she also
There we go.
acts as a realtor representing
Yep.
people who are purchasing homes.
Okay. And when did
Now
she
she just
start
need
this
a
business?
It
BBL.
was registered in Utah
And I'm in
in
love.
April 2019.
All right. Were you able to find information regarding the defendant's buying and selling of homes?
Yes,
And how did you find that information out?
those documents are typically recorded, and they are public documents, and they're typically recorded at counties, recorder offices. There's also information along that line at the assessor offices, and each state has a little bit different process of doing them. Most of them do it the same way that Utah does, which is through the county recorder.
Okay. I'm going to show you.
We did talk about the judge, how old he was, because Salvador said he looked very young, and Mass, the male feral housewife, found out that he got his BA in 99, so that would make him around 50-ish. Wouldn't that be around that age if he got a BA in 99?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you go through high school, and then how many years of college to get a BA?
Well, I mean, it depends. Like 4 years, isn't it usually?
Yeah, so, and yeah, I would say
Usually for
late,
stuff like that, it's like 4-year range.
yeah, like 40, late 40s, early 50s.
Mhm.
But he looks young. He has some salt in his pepper, but still, he's a young man. According to not according to, if you compare him to Judge Schroeder, he's
Yeah.
he's just a pup.
He's just
So-
a baby.
And we haven't heard him talk about the time where he helped Moses get the tablets down the mountain, like you do in the Schroeder case.
Yes.
Kim, it's on YouTube. We have to explain everything. And it's in court, so they're even stupider. Yeah, we didn't really leave many genes in the US. We got beaten by the natives, but a lot of Danes and Swedes have moved to, I believe, Ohio and Minnesota. Isn't that the most common places for Scandinavians to move?
Yeah.
We had my mom did genealogy, and an uncle somewhere down the line, he abruptly left for the US, and then my mom found out that he had done some genealogy, and as every American with Scandinavian roots who do genealogy, you find out you are in connection with Reiner Lodbro, as we call him here. It's Ragnar from the Viking series. Everyone is connected to him if you pay somebody to find out for you. But she looked and thought, well, it was funny he left so fast. And he made a pretty good living in the US. We didn't hear about him in the family, and I think it's 2 generations back. Then she found out he robbed a bank and went to the US. So, yay, genes. But he made it back. No, I finished my apprenticeship in early '97, and I just finished my, I don't know if you would call a high school degree. I finished that this Monday. I had my last exam ever. I thought it could be fun to go back to school when my back got messed up. So I have been doing kind of like high school again, and only took me 25 years, but now I'm finally finished with school because my youngest girl is finishing her exams this year too. So I finished with an A plus, as you must, last Monday. So, but my apprenticeship ended in '97.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm not using it for anything, but just to show the world I'm not as stupid as I look.
You're not.
I couldn't be. That would be
May I approach
impossible.
them? What's been-
Never.
What's been marked as things exhibit 2? You recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
This is a schedule that I prepared. I use the term schedule to talk about my work product and the analysis and how I depict it. So this is a
I had a
chronology of the real
teacher who said,
properties that
"Why
I was
don't you
able
go
to
to uni and
identify
study
attached
history?"
to either Kouri personal,
And
Ms. Richins
it could be
personally,
fun,
or
but
through her
I
company.
don't know if I'm.
The home that they were living in, and that's when the HELOC was taken out. And the
Yeah, I
other
should
one is a
have.
different
Sorry for the
property, so
buffering. I'm
I
not sure
listed
what
two then.
happened, but
And
my
you've listed,
signal just got
an
very bad in
amount
StreamYard, and it's still good on
trust deeds
YouTube.
for 2019. Is that right?
That's correct.
Can you explain what those are?
Trust deeds are deeds that are recorded at the county recorder's office, and they are memorializing or documenting an obligation or an encumbrance on a property. So this would represent that there's a loan for a certain amount, and that's expressed and documented in a trust deed.
Okay. And how much money, I guess, in trust deeds, or what was the amount of the trust deeds in 2019?
Those two trust deeds total $471,210.48.
And you've done that for each year, 2020 and 2021 as well, right?
That's correct.
And what was the amount in 2020 of trust deeds?
2020 was $2,069,200.
I'm very good of self-deprecation. That's we make fun of if you love somebody in Denmark, you make fun of them. So it's we have what's called the jantelov in Denmark. You can't be excelling at anything. So you have to, if you have some good traits, you have to put yourself down, because we love our socialist way of life. So everyone is equal. No one is better than the rest. That's why we are happy people, the happiest people on earth. If those stupid Finns didn't steal it from us sometimes, but that's why I'm self-deprecating. It's not because I believe I'm that stupid. It's just that because in Denmark you have to put yourself down. I just said I got an A plus, and then I have to put myself down, or else the equity police will come, knock at my door, and said, "Oh my God, did you just talk good about yourself?"
No.
20 lashes on the city square. Well, I'm not a bit strange. I'm very strange, and I can fix Letitia. I know. She just needs some loving. But she's not babysitting my kids, that's for sure.
She can come in anywhere near my children.
That's the one thing she can. But we don't have Petco in Denmark, so it should be safe.
Oh my God.
Again, how stupid. Sorry, this is the sidetrack channel. I'm just changing the name. How stupid must you be to tell the Petco story and make believe? Yeah, well, they're gonna fall for it. I'm so smart, they're gonna fall for the Petco mafia story, and the pregnant woman with all the cash. Jeepers!
That wasn't the only story, man. I mean, come on. No one. The one that got me was the guy or
Yeah.
Gannon riding the bike and falling and hitting his head, and she allowing just some random guy she met on Craigslist take him to the hospital. Who does that?
Yeah, and she didn't get her name or his name or anything. It's just
Yeah.
it was okay.
Even though she was the one that went and met up with this guy, so like obviously she had a vehicle of some sort. Like, why are you? Oh yeah, go ahead, take him.
And again, I can remember a Dane making headlines because we leave our prams outside. If I go to when I have small kids and they need a nap, I just leave it outside and go into a cafe and have a coffee or something. That made headlines because I believe she was child custody, not child custody. The department who takes care of children got a complaint because she left her kids sleeping outside the restaurant, and it was just like in Denmark everybody does that. We trust each other to not steal each other's babies, but just giving your kid to some strange guy in the U.S. it just doesn't ring true.
No.
And even also, my neighbor asked me if I can do something with his kid because we know each other and I know his kid and. It's okay for me to bring her to school or something if he needs that because he's sick, but I would never just go and say, oh, okay, should I drive him to the hospital? Yeah, see you later. It's just a stupid.
Stupidest thing ever heard.
Oh yeah, the vampire. Oh yeah, I forgot that.
All of it.
Not for dating purposes, but for looking for potential dates. I know where they are. They can't step out on me. I've been hurt before.
I'm surprised
Girl, you know it's
haven't
true.
been on the show Love After Lockup. So
I need to find all those shows because did you see Dating on the Spectrum? I love that show, especially Australian.
Those are my
Yep.
favorite reality shows. They have like 3 renditions of it. It's love during lockup, love after lockup, and life after lockup. And one of the women on there, she loves dating inmates because basically she knows they're not going to go cheating on her because they're in jail. And she has like a poster board of these which ones and where they are at and stuff so she can keep them all straight. And I just thought of you when I you guys when I watched that.
I don't know how many watched the Mia case I covered. One of the former girlfriends of the defendant said he kept an Excel spreadsheet with the ladies, what kind and what time he made the horizontal mambo with them.
My God.
You're not a strange guy at all. No.
No.
A girl into 231 pieces and then keeping score of how and when and where you did it with every girl you had. Cheapest. It's I'm well, if it's not working on the bars or stuff like that, I could maybe smuggle some prune liquor into a prison and have a fun time. Yeah. Cordial visit is a thing in some states.
I've learned a lot from those shows. They do a lot of crazy stuff in prison to the types of they can make alcohol, the stuff they do, the women and how they use normal things to make makeup. It's crazy. This woman they're mashing up instant coffee grinds to make mascara. And I was like, look at this. This is crazy. Anyways.
Why do we even follow a trial? We could just talk about crazy stuff. Well,
$80 on how many properties?
We use it as a red light.
And 2021, what was the amount of trustees and the defendant acquired?
Good morning, Indigo.
The amount there is $6,260,458
On how many properties?
on 13.
Well,
It's
it's not gay if
Yes.
you're not
Why?
receiving.
On a positive note, it
I used to
depicts
be a
that
soldier.
the
It
business
got
was
cold
growing,
some nights.
and she was actively acquiring properties. I think it's noteworthy, and it's an indication that things were growing quite significantly, and sometimes that is problematic.
Yeah.
And why is it problematic?
Prison wall.
But it's kind of a basic thing, like in business school, where growth.
Again, Danish television. we had these two guys making a sketch show, and one of the characters was famed for having a rather large prison wallet. He pulled very big things out of his prison wallet. Yes, it was on primetime TV in Denmark. You didn't see him take this stuff out, but suddenly, fluff, something appeared, and it was from his prison wallet. That's normal. No, it's not the Danes that are crazy. It's the rest of the world. All 5.5 million of us are the normal ones. The rest, you're weird people. Good morning, Cindy Lou. Welcome. This is the Off the Track show. Sometimes we follow the court. The rest of the time we talk about music from the 90s, making coffee grind makeup, and how to date an inmate. So, we have a plan to watch this hearing at some time.
I forgot what's going on.
Yeah, and Tweety, you know where he is. And again, as long as he's not receiving, he's not gay. Yeah, I bet you have seen some things that should never be mentioned, things that would make your eyes need a good lie cleaning.
Jesus.
We have you all know what David always calls the Danish Elon Musk. He's not an Elon Musk. He hasn't got any money, but the guy who built his own submarine and tried to build a rocket, who, again, he wanted to show a girl a good time, and unfortunately, he killed her and cut her in pieces. What's happened, guys. It can happen to any one of us, especially people who's kind of crazy and have his own submarine. If he asks you for a night ride, maybe say no. Just an advice. But he has been getting tail like it's no one's business after he went to prison. And we have a guy called Peter Lundin, I believe he killed his 2 stepchildren and their mom. And I think he's been married 3 times after going to prison. After, I think he attempted to murder his own mother, killed a woman and her children, and women still seek him out. I'm not saying women are from some strange place, but I don't understand you.
I don't get it either, but I see these women and they just like go off about how like it's just
almost
like,
an hour
where they are and they're not cheating. I'm like, is that what it is? Like, because they're in jail and they can't cheat? Is that what you're worried about? But yeah, like prison inmates get way more action than people in the free world. I swear. And
it's the good old we want a bad boy, and when he treats you like a bad boy do, you say, I don't understand why he's. Yeah, it's the savior complex. You can fix her. Him.
Like,
he
really,
just needs
though,
the right amount of love.
Does anybody really want to like spend your entire life fixing somebody? F that. Can you just be sane already? I'd rather be alone, or you better know how to take care of yourself.
That's yeah, he can cheat in prison, but again, it's not. Is it the same?
Yeah, is it the same? Do you really consider it the same?
Well, if you're into pecking, it could be the same. Back to the trial. And we have covered almost an hour today. I'm proud of us.
Too fast, too strong, too robustly is challenging for a business.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe.
Isn't in the US, no,
Were
in
you
the
able
UK,
to determine at the end of 2021 how much
a
the
female
defendants
inmate
obligated
got 3 other
on
female
those debts, those $6
inmates
million
pregnant.
debts?
It's
And actually explain to me the
2023.
difference.
You can
what
be
does
what you want to
obligated on a
be.
debt mean?
That's a
In
that's a very
Denmark,
important
we
question
had
and
a
very important point to
transvestite wanting
understand
to
here.
go into
I don't
female
have
prison. Got
access
nope,
at this
can't
point
do that.
to the documents that tell me the terms of these loans. So I don't know what the interest rate is of these loans. I don't know the terms that she's agreed to for these loans. I don't know what payment is required on these loans. What I do know is these are what we colloquially call hard money lenders. And I do know on some of these what these lenders do require, and it's in the neighborhood of 12 to 15%. These are not conventional loans where there's a 30-year payment amortization. These are typically short-term loans, and people in the house flipping business, the fix and flip business, typically are turning those over a little more quickly, so they don't need a 30-year loan. They need a shorter-term loan. So I understand what she's obligated on, but I do not know what the balance is at the end of a particular time period.
I see. You need more information to get to make that determination. Is that right?
That's correct. And that would be the loan documents themselves, the promissory notes, and the ledgers from the lenders to show what payments were or were not made and when were they made, how the interest was calculated and accrued, what other fees. Typically, these lenders have significant loan origination fees. And if payments are late, then the interest rate is higher on the late payment. There are perhaps default fees, things like that.
Okay. So do you have a rough estimate on what she was obligated to at the end of 2021?
Yes.
And what's that?
At the end of 2021
Yes.
was a little over $4 million.
And you don't know if that's what she you don't know what she had paid back, but you know that was what at that point she was obligated.
That's what she was obligated on these properties that she still owned at that time. And this is, I believe I've done a pretty good job
value of
looking for
the
properties, but there may be others
Okay.
that I don't know about.
Okay. Were you able to look at bank accounts that belonged to the defendant?
Yes,
And what is servicing a debt? What does that mean?
that would be a term that
Probably.
would explain that there is a debt outstanding, and servicing a debt would be the payments on that debt. So if I have a credit card and I have a monthly payment, or I have a balance due, my payment toward that credit card is called servicing my debt.
Okay. And were you able to determine how much debt the defendant was servicing in December of 2021, for instance?
Yes.
How much was that?
The debt payments?
Yes.
The debt payments were about $252,000
Well, did she get
in that month.
a life insurance policy on her husband? And how much was
Of
it?
course she did.
I know,
Just
but-
before he put all the money into a trust for the kids, but she got herself a nice life insurance for her husband, as a caring wife would. Who wouldn't do that?
Well, did,
So yeah, there could be a motive that she's heavily in debt, but again, we have to look. What are the values of the homes? If they are worth 6 million and she owes 4 million, that's okay. She's a house flipper. Sometimes they do take expensive loans to make a quick buck. Yeah, the sister is the custodian of the trust, and I think his original life insurance went to his sister, but she made one. Again, I haven't looked into this case beforehand, as I like to go in. Jamie, what I'm not supposed to say? I like to go in.
raw.
Right. I can't say that. So just to get my own feeling about the evidence in the case, but I read somewhere that she made a life insurance, but maybe it was the one where he changed it to his sister's name. It's
Was that
It's
in
just-
was that something you read, or was that in the first video? I can't remember.
no, it wasn't in the first video, but this
Oh,
is the financial stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, she filed a lawsuit against her husband's estate this week. I'll have to look into it.
Wow.
Yeah, I have to change to go in cold. No, that's it's not the cold or the raw part that's the problem, I think. Jim, you have to teach me English at some point. Well, you're writing the wrong women. I bet there's some 400-pound lady in there who's just happy if you send her a kiss on a paper. If you're going for Jodi Arias, you have to know the
Payments that she
competition
made
is
in
high.
December of 2021, there were 94
It's like me going in to
payments,
play
and those
in the
94
NBA.
payments
It's not
totaled
gonna happen.
$252,000.
They want money, so
Is there
if you're not
anything that you
giving them
found
money,
significant about those debt payments?
sorry,
Yes.
Sam.
What was that?
They were not to 94 individual entities.
Yeah, but my problem is I'm just looking at the new things on Discord, and then I get sucked into one of Farrell's picture posts, and then time disappears.
I know. I wake up and have like 85 posts I got to look through and so many articles, and I haven't caught up either.
Well, I have standards too, but you just have to have low enough standards. That's the trick.
No, you keep your
Just
high standards, Sal.
just
Don't
like when
listen
you go out drinking, you start very high at 8 o'clock and 4 in the morning. Just as long as your friends doesn't see what you're doing, you can do it.
Fees. Some of them were weekly payments. For example, I know that she has an outstanding debt during that time of $5,438 that was required to be paid weekly on a debt. She has a $600 payment that is made daily for a period of time during December. And the payees on most of those debts,
with a loan. Jesus.
600
the
a
large
day?
majority of those debts are hard money lenders. Some of them are credit cards.
And this was in a particular account you looked
I
at.
mean, that's
That's
not
just in one account, yes.
And do you remember what account that was?
That's the account 6577.
my
Okay.
mortgage.
Were you able to determine if she was
But again, hard money,
current on her
uh,
debt payments that were coming out? of
hard money lenders,
6577?
they're
Did I-
normally
did I say
not
that number?
as nice as the
Yes.
bank to give you
Yes,
an
you did.
extension.
I know of one account that she has that had sued her, and they filed suit in New York in December 9th of 2021.
Okay. But, to ask you about that, I will ask you about that one in a minute. But
Okay.
were you able to look at her, to
Yeah,
that previous
English,
account
English no good.
and
know
determine
what
whether or
that
not
means,
she was
going in
current on her
raw
payments, or whether her
in
payments
American?
were going through correctly?
Me no English
I
speak.
can't tell you if she was current on her payments. I can say
Very
about those
dirty.
payments that several of them did not clear the
Excited.
bank.
You said you will be
And
back
during
after
this-
2 hours. I've
She was in the
been
negative on that
dragging
account,
along, trying to
for
fill
a
some
good
time.
part of that month.
We have been singing
she was,
songs and dancing, doing all the kind of
$22,000 in the
stuff. So
hole
you can just
for-
keep
for
on,
a good part of that month.
come back and follow
So
along.
you noticed that, at least in for that account in that month, that that some of the payments to the hard money lenders were not going through?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you notice any charges for overdraft fees or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what did you notice about that?
They were $25 each, and sorry, I don't recall what the cumulative number is for that, but there were dozens.
Okay.
Only for you.
Now I want to ask you about this.
We've been
you
waiting.
said that there was
Now it's
a lawsuit
focusing
that you were familiar with
200%
out of New York.
Yes.
on the trial.
Can you explain what that?
She's
what
a
you found out
realtor.
about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So in that case, they did file the agreement. And so from
I had to
that,
go get something to
it's
drink.
apparent
It's so hot here
that
Today.
Ms. Richins used
I'll be
receivables
back.
of
So
$87,000.
we can't go
And
offline,
receivables are
off the track when
her
I'm
potential
away.
revenue. It's work that she's performed or earned, and she's expecting to be paid this money to her company as revenues. So that's $87,000 that's stated in the case, in the document that they filed with it. And that agreement also says that she's borrowing $60,000 against that $87,000 at 15%. And that document also spells out the terms of the agreement that she's to make weekly payments of $5,438 until that debt is paid.
Weekly.
And do you know why this lawsuit was brought, or what the documents indicate about why the lawsuit was brought?
According to the complaint, which is the other side's version of what happened, that she made payments of about $21,000. So that would be a little shy of 4 payments. And then after that, she defaulted
Okay. And when was that lawsuit filed?
December 9th, 2021.
So we talked a little bit about the bank accounts, at least do you know where the Kouri Richins Realty bank account, what the bank is,
Where they banked?
where they bank?
Yes. That's
What
it.
is that?
America First Credit Union.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
And
They're like
were there
5,000.
any other
week?
America First Credit Union accounts that you were able to
It's
look
like-
at?
Yes.
And when were you able to look at those?
Over this past weekend.
Okay. How many accounts did you get access to?
Probably about 11 or 12.
Okay. Were some significant?
Yes,
Were some not?
that's correct.
Okay. I'm going to ask you specifically about each of these in order, or not each of them, but a couple of them in order. There's the 6577, is that right?
That's correct.
What was, and that was the K. Richins Realty, right?
That's primarily, that is the name of the account. And that's, as far as I can tell, that's primarily where
Yeah.
the transactions were housed.
And you said primarily the hard money lending payments.
Primarily there.
Okay. And that one ended up in about negative 2,200 at the end of 2021.
22,000.
22,000. I'm sorry, you're right, 22,000. Did you look at 2204?
Yes.
What primarily was that?
That's the joint account. So we would call that a personal account. It's a joint account. It's held jointly with Eric and Kouri Richins.
Anything stand out in that account to you?
Yes.
What was that?
Well, it's important to me to look at kind of a runway of the account leading up to a significant time period, because it's important to understand the nature of an account. And so I've gone back to 2020, long before the review period that's relevant specifically in this case, or that is people are concerned about in this case, to understand what the nature is and what's the character of that account. How is it used and what's typical for a particular account holder? And that's going to be different for every person and every business. And so
Again, if she's a realtor and who has to have cash handy to flip houses, you can make some kind of connection to the bank and say, well, can I overdraft because I have to move fast? If you have a high income, high outcome economy, it could be possible. It doesn't seem like she had a lot of income, but she had a lot of payments. And again, if you have to do 5,000 weekly, that's a dang lot of money. That's as Salvador said, just
what I was
ask
gonna say.
Murdoch.
Yeah, because he was getting, they knew he was okay. He was good for it. He was always doing it. So maybe that's what she was doing too.
Yeah, it should be coming out of business account. That's but again, a joint account, if they have a joint business, I don't know.
I thought they said they did though.
Out of her, yeah, they have but again, I know there were some arguments about a house she closed on and stuff like that. It's yeah. Let's see if Amazon pulls that just as fast as they did the last one when she got indicted. But again, how do you live with someone who has those kind of money problems and you're not aware of it? Accountant says it's a personal joint account. Okay, but again, but I could understand it in the murder case that, well, I just get a ton of money in the end of the year or in the beginning of the year because all these cases roll over and we get paid out. His wife probably haven't had anything to do with the economy, but I believe both of those were entrepreneurs, so they should know about money and money going in, money going out. And these hard money lenders, they're normally not nice people. In Denmark, if you borrow money from people like that, they normally like to ride big Harley Davidsons and have these nice vests with a emblem on the back. And you don't want to owe those people money.
These metal things they put on their fingers to threaten you. Yeah.
No, that's illegal in Denmark. In Denmark, nobody has weapons, only the criminals.
Oh.
I looked at this account, and typically it is the account that is used to pay credit cards and kids' expenses and family expenses and things like that.
Okay. Anything else stand out as you reviewed the account?
Yes, as we get closer to the time period that's relevant here, which is like the months leading up to Eric's death, I would term that, and then what happened after. There are transfers between accounts and amongst accounts. I can see, Eric's payroll coming into that account. I can see there are some deposits or transfers, I guess I should say, from K. Richins Realty, payments going back to K. Richins Realty. marked increase in the number of transactions that occur in that account and all of the accounts.
Okay, so you actually see an increase of money moving around in that account, say, late 2021 and up until Eric's death.
That's correct, yes.
Why is that significant? Why do you find that significant?
Well, I'm looking for what's typical or what makes sense. And so I'm looking at, what's happening in the business account and does that influence what happens in the personal account, along with what is happening in the acquisition of properties and how those move together. And so there's this kind of noteworthy crescendo that happens in the months leading up to Eric's death. There are indicators of an increase of chaos and loss of control and larger amounts of money moving all around the accounts.
It's a good
In a
motive.
positive way or a negative way?
It feels haphazard. There's not a pattern. There's not a practice that there had been a little bit earlier in my review. And there are transactions that don't clear when there's, money is moving around just to cover transactions.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you
No.
about those transactions that don't clear in a minute. But I'm going to go to ask you about
Yeah.
account 5244. Are you familiar with that account?
Yes.
What is that account?
Well, it sounds like she's trying to cover either from him or from a bank, because
like-
if they want to see, we need to see that there's this amount in this account to lend you some more, or to give you an extension on a loan. We have to see money coming in, and then she could shuffle it around all the time.
Yeah, because like money for me isn't a huge motivator for murder unless.
Well,
don't know.
if you're driven by wealth, if you want to have this fairy tale life with the big house, the big money, the big car, again, murder. Going back to him, I think that his drug problem was the least of his problems. It was. I think he just had a way of living that was so expensive. He had to pour money into an ever deepening hole, and he was, again, the part about stealing from his clients. I just think it's because he wanted to have all the stuff, so his morals just went out the window, because I need this boat, I need this house, I need this farm, I need everything.
Yeah.
So, but again, I'm happy with what I have, but I could see people who are wanting to have a certain lifestyle. Yeah, it could be spoiled as kids. We see a lot of those. Do you call them trust fund kids who grew up with a silver spoon, and when they grow older, and they don't know how to make money. They just want them, so they have to do stupid stuff to get money. And at some point, you just tip the scale too far, and you can't make up the amount of money you spend, and then you have to do crazy stuff. That's why a lot of people think, well, I can just transfer a kilo of coke, then I'll have a lot of money, and then you get caught, and then you just owe some bad people a lot of money.
I think it's just because I could never imagine. I don't know. I love love, so I can't imagine killing somebody I love just for money. It's just beyond.
No,
me.
and even you have three kids together, and it's I'm not fond of my girl's mother. Of course, we're divorced, so we have some animosity, but I don't wish any ill will on her or anything. We're never going to be as close as we were, but again, to kill somebody just he's more worth more unalive. Yeah, that's the problem. But again, to take that step to say, well, it could fix my problems. I could understand her trying to score drugs and sell drugs to get money, but killing somebody, that's I don't know if there's a psychologist who do every case in Denmark. you have what's called an 808, where you go to talk to somebody in the prison system about what's your family history, what's your medical history, do you have any signs of mental illnesses to determine if you're ready to stand trial. And we hear that in every case if there's anything relevant in it. So we know that if people have some lack of empathy or stuff like that, so it could be interesting to see if she has been participating in any kind of evaluations by psychologists. I know all the body language expert could probably look at her batting an eye and tell you exactly what what's it called, a diagnosis she has. But I think it's interesting to see if the lack of empathy could be something where she said, well, I have to solve this problem and I don't like this guy anymore, so I could just kill him.
Right? No, that's crazy.
Yeah, but how about a boyfriend in the shower? If it is annoying enough.
I love that. Indigo.
I saw the Dr. G because I was searching for a better feed. The one I used yesterday, it gets way too choppy in this part of the interview. I saw that Dr. G. I think I saw about 5 minutes of it, and I just thinking, I'm pretty low, and I have to really stretch my imagination beliefs to understand this stuff. You can see the way she sits on a chair, the way and it's just like, please stop. You don't know this woman. You haven't seen anything about the way she acts in a normal setting. She's in a high pressure situation. You can't tell anything about her. Tell anything about her normal way of expressing herself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've never seen that person, but I do not hear good things about this Dr. G. So
No, and again, it's because true crime is a great subject to cover. I can see. I have a small channel. I don't get many views. It's okay. I'm loving entertaining people, but I can see you get these 10, 20, 30,000 views, and again, it's just saying, well, look at this woman testifying. Look at the way she have her hair behind her ear. It's an indication that she's really, really concentrated about doing her stuff right. See the expression on her face. The way she has the wrinkles above her face. She's very trustworthy.
yeah.
Yeah, she's old and got wrinkles. It's
Right?
a good years, and that's why she puts her hair behind it. Again, but it sells. People want someone to show. It's like when you're seeing stuff like Alien or alternative history, people love it because they want to believe in something else. It's a human nature thing, I believe. Oh, Salvador, you could be that life insurance. Yeah. Yeah, and again, how would he know anything about Zachariah Anderson? That's why I'm not gonna say the things I normally say. That's why I like to view cases with fresh eyes, because I have my own way of detecting how I feel about a person. When you're watching me, I will never tell you, oh, I can say, well, she's rolling her eyes. It's not a good look in front of a jury. I wouldn't say, oh, that means she's guilty. She rolls her eyes, and
Yeah.
like the 18-year-old crying all the time. Well, it could indicate a lot of stuff. It could indicate she was crying because she was knowing she was going away for life. She realized she did something really bad to her dad, or it could just be a stupid girl who thought that there would be no consequences because she never realized that life has consequences. It could mean anything, but these experts want to tell you that they know humans better than you do. How do you go around in normal life? I'm on the internet. I never see real people, but If you go to the shop, you look at a person, if he looks shifty, you don't think, well, he should take care of my kids tomorrow. No, you think that guy's shifty. That's why I'm not really fans of all these experts.
No.
That is also a personal account that was opened in 2013, and the header on the bank statement has Kouri's name, but the
And-
signature card and until I looked at the signature card, I thought that was just Kouri's account, but the signature card does have Eric and Kouri as a joint
Okay.
holders.
And what is that, what do you believe that's primarily focused when you review of that?
I thought that was a business account.
Okay, is that what you continue to think? I mean, I guess
It's technically a personal.
Vivacious? What does that mean?
Well, what is
Sometimes I don't know, vivacious? That word on the screen.
I've never used that word before. What does
Murphy.
it mean, Murph?
I'm blonde. I know English speak. Don't hurt me like this.
I know the word
Personal
voluptuous.
account.
Okay.
According to America
I
First,
know
that's
that
personal
word too.
account, but it is
I
used
like
as a business
I
account.
like
Why do you
that
say
word
that?
and people who are
because of the
voluptuous.
transactions that are contained within the account.
What kind of transactions are they?
There are some payments for the loans on these properties.
Energetic.
There are
Okay.
expenses
Oh.
that I would think would be typical.
But that's what you normally see in the people who are psychopaths. They are very good at being people persons because they don't use lively
Okay.
yeah
I'm there
Uh,
with you. I'm like, how do we? Yeah, I never really use that word. Okay, yeah.
well, we're still here for you. We knew you had to drive home, so we just spent a few minutes talking about something totally not related to this case for the first time ever.
Just for
But
you.
yeah, but again, outgoing personalities, charming people, you normally see that in psychopath because they are expert in gauging your what you want as an emotion, because they don't feel anything other than their love for themselves. So they are expert in manipulating other people. So you have to be aware of people like that. Exactly. Yeah, you never know what's behind the face. That's why it's so easy to sit here and Luna, and some of us are worried about you too. So
I'm a people person. I get what. Yeah.
yeah,
I would say I'm vivacious sometimes.
yeah, and I can be too, but normally I'm kind of a. It's a strange thing. I'm very shy. If you meet me, I would be the one never talking, and I didn't really want to do this YouTube thing, but I thought that we needed some really different Danish politics coverage. So I thought, well, as long as I'm just doing videos, I'm not talking to anyone. I don't have to talk to people. I don't have to make connections. And a year later, I'm hosting 18 people at the same time, and I have to try to have a personality, and it's probably a good thing to get more social, or else I could end up like some of these people who lives in the woods and write manifestos.
Typical of a business rather than personal. But there are some personal expenses there. I'm not saying that to be prejudicial or negative or anything. It is what it is.
Okay. Are there any credit card payments coming out of that account?
Yes.
How many credit card, or what's the amount of credit card payments coming out of that account?
I didn't quantify that.
Okay. So at the end of did you review the bank statement for that account, the 5244 for the end of 2021?
Yes.
What was the status of the account then?
That was also in the negative. It was in negative about 1,100, 1,700, something like that.
Was there a line of credit?
Yes, there was.
How much was the line of credit?
3,200,
And what was the status of the line of credit?
and that was exceeded.
Okay.
That was tapped out.
Okay. So you mentioned some, I guess, transactions that did not clear. Is that how you put that?
That I did, yes.
Okay. And where did those,
It's crazy
In
that
what
you know me
accounts,
like the back of your hand.
were,
Woo!
were there transactions that did not clear? Do you remember?
I know the 6577 account, 5244 account, that the 5244 is the one we've just been talking about.
Mhm.
The 2204 account is the personal account, the joint personal account. And that also had a lot of money moving in and out and did have some transactions that did not clear.
So I'm going to direct your attention to a transaction that occurred on October 13th of 2021. Do you remember looking at that? Where there was a check coming in from a credit union?
October 23rd of 2021,
13th,
October, for what amount?
for $4,000.
I
Yes.
wish.
Okay. Tell me,
It's so
and that was into,
It's hot
that was
today.
into
How hot is it?
6577, is that right? That's
For
believe so.
Denmark,
Are we
it's
talking about
very hot. It's
2021?
28
And it was
degrees.
from Penn
It's
Fed.
like
Do you remember that?
77.
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me about that?
77
What you recall about
Fahrenheit.
that transaction?
Yeah, 77.
PenFed
That's
Credit
hot in
Union is
Denmark.
a credit union where Kouri
3
Richins
days
has accounts and
with
Eric does not.
77, then we have a
And
heat
that
wave.
becomes a significant issue later. But that check was deposited into the account and then it was returned
We
unpaid.
really need some thunder.
And do you recall if there were any transactions made out of the account between the time the check was deposited and
Supposed to
and it
be
came back
80
unpaid?
today
I
here.
recall that there were transactions, yes.
Okay. And there was another couple of checks deposited on November 12th of
3 days of
2021.
28,
Did not clear. Do you
above
remember
28
those?
in the
I
daytime. It's a
remember
heat
that there
wave.
were checks, yes.
Okay. And after those checks were deposited, do you remember if there were any payments made out
And,
of the account?
In Arizona,
That-
Salvador is
before it
taking
came-
on a
before it
hoodie
came
if
back
it's
unpaid,
28
sorry.
degrees
The same
only.
is true, yes.
Do you remember who
77.
those were transferred to or where they were transferred?
I don't recall specifically, no.
Okay. But there was money transferred out between the time the check was deposited that didn't clear and the time.
That's correct.
Okay. And then in December 23rd of 2021, do you recall any checks that were deposited, a check for $10,000 and from the Navy Federal Credit Union?
Yes,
And
I
what
would
happened?
die
that did not
before I
clear as
left
well.
the plane.
And checks take a while not to
Yeah.
clear, right? Is that right? So the check is
This is no
deposited,
joke.
it's credited to your account, but there's some time in between.
Excited. You
the
live in a place
credit
that
and
doesn't
the
exist. You
coming back
can
not cleared.
you
Is
can
that right?
claim anything.
Yes, that's
Right.
right. But it depends on the relationships between those financial institutions. Sometimes they'll clear overnight, sometimes they'll take a few days.
And these seem to take about 4 or 5 days. So would that be about
That's
right?
correct.
Okay.
I remember that there were two that did not clear, and they both came from Ms. Richins' Navy Federal Credit Union account.
So these were checks written by the defendant and on the Navy Federal Credit Union account and deposited into her America First credit.
That's correct.
That didn't. Was there money between the time that the check was deposited and the time it came back as unpaid? Were there any transactions out of that 6577 account?
Yes, there were.
And what were they?
I don't recall.
Okay, but there was a time when the money was moved out of those accounts.
That's correct.
Okay. In 6577, do you recall, I know you testified that it was overdrawn at the end of the year. Do you recall if it was overdrawn again prior to Eric's death?
I do. I don't remember the amount, but it was, again,
Overdrawn?
yes.
Okay.
In the winter, it's really nice to be a baker. In the summer, I would drink between 3 and 4 liters of something during a workday because we started normally around 2. In the summertime, we maybe start at 1 because it's hard to keep the doughs from not rising too fast, and it could reach above 50 in some parts of the bakery, especially when you're opening the oven doors and all these steams came out. You just wanted to die. So even though we are not supposed to wear shorts and cut the sleeves of our t-shirts, and I would never do that because the healthcare in the bakeries are very important, and health and safety is always the most important thing. Some might have been wearing shorts in the summer, even though it's not allowed, and spilling liquid sugar on your legs or your arms, it leaves some scars. But it was hot as, yeah, and it was this moist, another word I can't say, moist heat, because there was so much water vapor when you're baking. So I hated it, especially at I was in a Quickly in Vejle, and it was under the roof, and it was just the worst place. No ventilation. I hated it.
Do you not have air conditioning?
Not
Or
in
does
that
it
bakery.
matter?
No, it's in Denmark. Normally, you don't have air conditioning. We normally before we'd have all these climate emergencies and whatever. We had 2 days of summer in Denmark, and then we had rain, and then normally the Danish summer is like a month, and we get like 22 to 25 degrees Celsius, so it's not that bad. We don't use air conditioning here. You use it in convenience stores and stuff like that, but normal homes, it's not normal. Now we have these I don't know what you call it in English, but where you exchange, you can pull the heat out of the air. Where you put them on the house what's it called? Help me out, Mads. Hvad
Yeah.
hedder luft til varmepumper? Air to heat pumps. It's called in Danish. Yeah, it's kind of heat pumps. It's not an air conditioner. It's where you can warm your house up with taking the heat out of the air. And in the summertime, it can also cool down your house, but normally it heats your house. But you have to remember, most of the time, like 8 months of the year in Denmark, you have the heat on because it's cold here, and it's wet. And wet, when it's wet, it's more cold. It feels more cold. So
You would say it's moist.
no, not quite moist, but it's raining a lot. We get a lot of rain. This year has been exceptionally dry, and all the TV channels are talking about it's climate change, because it's always climate change when it's bad. But normally in Denmark, we're at this time of the year, we have maybe had 2 weeks where we are thinking, oh, this is going to be such a hot summer, and then it rains for all of July. So air conditioning is something you use in office buildings and shops and stuff like that. You don't have it in private houses. It's too expensive to run, and you don't use it in most of the year. So you have fans circulating the air and stuff like that. It's enough. So it's again. It's different from country to country. I have my front door and my back door open so I can get the draft through, just to move some air through the house. But I could use an aircon right now.
Yeah,
What did you say?
fans. I said,
I haven't got any fans in this room, but I remember seeing the ceiling fans when I visited the US the first time. Thought, oh, that's such a good idea. We don't have those here
You don't
either.
have ceiling fans either. Oh,
But again, we don't have the heating like you do. Many of you have floor heating, so you need it because the heat goes up, and then you have to use the fan to blow it down again. We have radiators in all houses, so it's different.
yeah.
Do you, and again, I want to ask you about go back to 5244. And I think
we can move on to the accounts.
Okay. Let me ask you about the life insurance policies. Are you familiar with life insurance policies
Yes.
on Eric's life?
Yes,
How many life insurance policies were there on Eric's life at the time of his death?
I believe there were 6.
Okay. And
6.
I mean, what were they? Can you explain what the life insurance policies were?
Yes.
6. Wow.
The first was through Minnesota Life for $347,000, and that was what is typically called a home mortgage policy, in which if the insured passes away, the home's paid off, and they write it at the amount of what the loan balance was at the time the policy's taken out. And so whatever the loan is at the time of death, I believe that loan is like 72%. They'll pay 72% of the outstanding loan. And so that one was paid.
Okay.
And then there's a life insurance policy that Eric and his business partner had on each other, basically, and that's in coordination with a buy-sell agreement on their business. And so if one of them passes away, the other would be the beneficiary of that life insurance policy.
So let me just, let me just ask you about that instead of going through one at a time. How, besides the life insurance policy that was on Eric's business, what was the amount of money that Eric's life was insured for at the time of his death?
About $1.2 million, aside from the business buy sell policy.
And are you familiar
Yeah,
with
the first two
any-
one makes
any,
sense.
any attempt to change the beneficiary of the business policy?
I'm aware that that is the report, yes.
And what was the report?
That on New Year's Day of 2022, that in New York Life's online portal, someone had logged in and had changed the beneficiaries on that policy
To,
to Kouri Richins.
That's not good.
and that was changed back as far as you know, and had been changed back at the time of Eric's death?
That's my understanding, yes.
Do you know how much money the defendant got in insurance payouts?
$1.3 million, a little bit more than that, 1.3 million in June of 2022.
Now you're beginning the small
Yes,
cogs are twirling thing. Well, it could, if he's annoying, 1.3 million. That's okay.
Yeah.
I have a couple more questions, Your Honor. Were you able to review the PenFed accounts at any time?
Yes,
Do you recall if there was any money in those accounts?
for most of the time, I reviewed a little bit over a year, I believe. Most of the time it had $5 in it.
Okay.
What were they worth, like, total? Does
We
anyone-
haven't heard that. We just heard how much she owed other people.
Yeah. I just want to know, like,
Yeah, this-
their
this-
household
Okay.
income.
They're-
Is it
they're on
normal?
notice that I'm otherwise engaged.
Okay, I needed that. Ms. Carrington, a couple of questions. Want to talk about, pursuant to your testimony, you've been doing this for a long time.
Yes,
And you look at investment type businesses as well as personal finances, correct?
That's
As
correct.
the course of your,
Well, it could seem like the ebook queen did the old hobby insurance swindle, especially if it was an insurance to make sure that his business partner would be paid out so he can continue the business. And that's probably not a good look if a jury needs to see that. But let's see if the defense has some explanations, because yesterday, I think the story changed when the defense started asking questions. This lady, even though she looks a bit like the evil queen from Snow White, she's a boss lady, and she has the dominatrix belt on.
review of things. And you said that Kouri Richins Realty was essentially flipping homes, correct? Is a business.
that's my understanding from what's publicly available.
And in your experience, that type of a business model is essentially investment properties that you don't own very long and then you resell, correct?
Yes,
So within the framework of that, it would not be uncommon or uncharacteristic to have these hard money lenders as a part of that type of business model, correct?
yes, and that I did say that earlier,
Okay.
that that's typical.
Right,
yes.
we wouldn't go get conventional home loans for a home we're going to own for, 6 months, we hope, correct?
You could. That would be a lot lower interest rate, even though it had a longer repayment period. Someone could get a conventional loan to do that.
It would be hard to continue to get conventional loans, I would assume, when you're buying multiple properties, correct?
I don't know the answer to that. What I will say is it's very typical for someone in this industry that Ms. Richins is in to get hard money lenders.
So what she was doing was typical for the industry.
I would say yes.
And you created this schedule of homes. Did you also look at when those homes sold?
Yes, I did.
And did you correlate those payments?
Correlate.
Like, were
I'm
you
sorry.
able to see what the homes sold for?
I have been able to see many of them what they sold for.
So, and then if you look at those, she only still owns a handful of those, correct? 4, maybe 5.
I'm sorry, what?
She only
Time period.
still currently owns just a small handful of those homes, correct?
I think she still owns about 6 or 8.
So she owns the ones on,
Yeah, and they are happy. And when she looks at you that way, they're just smiling because now they know they're gonna have a bad time. She is she's wearing the pants in that
Canyons
household.
Resort Drive that are rental properties.
That's correct.
Okay. And she owns the Saratoga Springs house.
Yes.
And
She still owns the condo in B Street in Salt Lake City.
correct in the Heber City.
Yes, she does. It's under joint tenancy, and K. Richins Realty is still on the title on that.
And were you able to see on any of these hard money loans if she partnered with anyone on them? It's not just a hard money loan, but if there were any partnership.
The trust deeds do not indicate a partnership.
Okay, so you wouldn't know if there was some other partnership that existed on these.
Yes, that would be reflected in the trust deed, and I did not see any partnership on any of them.
I'm sure they did.
Were you able to see what the balance in the 2204 account as part of your review of
At what time period?
at any time period? Did you look at the 2204
I did.
account
Yes.
as well?
Yes.
And although there were fluctuations in her business account, that account always had sufficient funds in it, correct?
That's not correct.
There was a period of time where it did not.
There are periods of time. Yes.
And you also said that Eric was on this 5244 account that was being used for essentially business type stuff. And that was Kouri's business, not Eric's. Is that correct?
You're asking me a couple of things.
Okay, sorry, I'll
He's-
slow down.
That's
on
okay.
the
No, it's
account.
fine. It's fine. He's on the signature card. So
Okay.
when an account is opened, he signed as an authorized signer. She signed as an authorized signer. As
So
I-
he would have, as an authorized signer, he would have access if he wanted to go review what that account was doing, correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
That all depends on how it's set up with the online access. Just because someone's an authorized signer doesn't mean that they can come in and walk into the bank and get any information they want.
Were you able to tell in this case?
Well, as I said, the bank statement does not say Eric and Kouri Richins. It says Kouri Richins. And looking at the transactions in the account before I looked at the signature card, it looked very much like a business account that Kouri would have.
And are you aware that Eric was in the stonemasonry business, correct?
That's correct.
And so he was, on some level, assisting her in the remodel or cleanup of some of these homes, correct?
That is not how I would term it.
I'm not saying financially. Are you aware that he was doing work on these homes?
I'm aware of one instance
fine.
on the
We don't hear
Branson Lane
anything.
home in which
Right
he and
outside the
Cody
I'm like,
contributed about $133,000 toward the completion of the home. And my understanding is different than how you're portraying.
It's like in the Sarah Boone case where the guy kept chopping down stuff around them when they were interviewing her. It was so annoying. I cut that part off because I thought it was annoying to listen to.
well, he's moving away from the fence line, so.
Well, this has been just about an hour of testimony today. Now we're only missing the sister of the deceased, and I believe she's getting some interesting stuff in her testimony.
Yeah.
So I thought we should watch that when we are fresh. So if I'm not melted tomorrow, and if Jamie is happy and ready and didn't have too much birthday cake and have to sleep in, then maybe she will join me, or I will send the links out to a few people more. Salvador was supposed to show up, but then Luna showed up, so he had to be in chat and talk to her. I know what you're doing, Salvador. You are the ladies' man on this channel. But around the same time tomorrow, it's Sunday, so no one else is streaming. So you have the time to wake up before church, maybe, and I watch. It's about an hour. So how long could it take? 2-3 days to get through that testimony. And remember, along the way, we'll be talking fashion, politics, prom nights. What else?
Heard all
We-
about Baker's prom night in America. It was so
Yeah. Back when I was a young baker. Oh, it was
Can you
a
see
good
it?
time. What?
Joyce makes fun of my giant cups that I have. That's a 52 ouncer.
Yeah, Salvador, it's been 2 hours and 30 minutes, and 2 hours and 30 minutes ago, you answered me saying, "I'm just got out of bed. I'll be on soon." So I'll send you a link again tomorrow. But if you're
Is that
staying
what
up,
he
watch. So if you're not staying up all night drinking along with other people, then maybe you can join me tomorrow. And I know that Salvador has a stream later today. If you're ready to jump on, come on and grift it, because I can't remember the time. And remember that David and Nicholas is doing the Jody stream at noon your time, 6 o'clock in the real world. And we have to finally get near the show of the pictures, the pictures I want to see, not the that guy pictures.
I want to hear about your prom night, Sal.
Yep. Did you go with a basketball player you met once before, going to another town, buying a tuxedo, and I think we maybe spoke 3 words to each other before I had to put this bouquet on his arm, or her arm. Sorry, again, 2023. Who's judging?
Oh my God.
I think tonight we're gonna watch Salvador talk about the letters or some emails between Halderson and his girlfriend Kat, and that could be interesting. It was an interesting trial. The 2 lessees on the tractor. That was something else. Oh, it will be right after Jody ends, so I know Salvador invited me, and I will see if I can do it. Yeah, we need to know the time, man. Excited has to plan all her driving, so she can't be listening to the chat just like this. So you have to keep going for a couple of hours so she can follow along.
Yeah, I don't know what time Jody starts. Hang on.
I think it's 12 noon. Salvador says 1:30 Eastern. So that'll be 7:30 my time. I think Eastern is -6.
You're 6 hours ahead.
Yeah. So when David were supposed to be on yesterday, I was in the future, just like it cited.
Oh, so Salvador's stream is going to be at 1:30 Eastern?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Salvador, I'm putting words in your mouth now, but I believe if Nicholas is ending early, you go on there, or if he's going late, you wait till he finishes. Yeah, and excited. You'll be in the future at that time.
I got to go over to my parents' house at 4. So I'll probably be incognito then.
Well, thank you so much. And if I can make it, but I have an idea that I'll need maybe a beer or 2, but I can drink on your stream and say stupid stuff that's not ruining my channel. Well, thank you so much, Gigi. And even though her phone is off, I had my eyes on her the whole time. She didn't do it, and the person showing up dead in her neighborhood, it's just a coincidence. Around 12 Eastern. Yeah, we'll try to follow along and see when Salvador is. Go to his channel, like and subscribe, and turn on notifications and all of that. Then you can get the mention. And again, if you haven't done it on my channel, I would like to think that just I brought Jamie on. That's enough to earn me a subscription, and then the prom night story could be a thumbs up or
feel
thumbs
like
down.
the best story ever.
Is
No.
your son-in-law showing up there?
excited. The Jody streams at noon Eastern.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's go after.
That's an hour and 20 minutes from now, right?
No, because it's 10 o'clock, 10:40 my time right now. It's a couple hours, so an hour and 20 minutes.
I know math, no English,
Sorry, no. It's
no
like
clock.
hour 20.
I'm pre-law, so I can only math sometimes.
Jody
Yeah,
will be in an hour 20 excited.
Yeah, then it's noon is in an hour 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but everyone, thank you so much for showing up. It's a pleasure to have you all sitting, listening to us rambling about anything but the case we're supposed to follow. This is why it's a laytube and not lawtube. Let the lawyers keep to the script. We'll just have fun. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you tomorrow. If I'm not melted, I'll be going on at around the same time covering the last part, which is the sister of the deceased, and she's not a fan of our friend Kouri. But see you there, and thank you again, Jamie, for showing up.
No problem.